Hey guys, it's Drake again with the RPG Construct, and we are going to be doing another volume of the ongoing Infinity series, Harbinger Playtest campaign that I've been running. We have, as usual, four amazing players. We have Lloyd, Marquise, Philip, and Lionel here with us today. And we're just going to kind of get right into it. It's been a couple months since we played one of these sessions. We had Hurricane Harvey down here in Houston, and I had a ton of technical issues. So hopefully we're back. Hopefully my computer doesn't die. Cross our fingers, right? And what I'm just going to do, since it's been so long, I'm going to give a recap to the players as far as where we are. And then we'll get right into the game. So the last episode's name was Relic. And we found our players, Andra, Nardo, and Dorn, had left with, I guess you'd call them some kind of sentient apes, some sentient red apes, ones that he felt he needed to stick with. So Rando kind of left on his own. They were looking for a transport ship on the forest moon of Degan. And oops, sorry, just got a buzz. And they had some hairy situations where a few monsters and weird things came after them. Then they found a new player by the name of Dr. Sethius Adorn, played by Marquise here. Kind of a brilliant, crazy hermit type guy. Saved them from a few baddies. And together, they were able to scrounge up enough technology and parts to get this old transport ship up and out, leaving the moon of Degan. At the end of the last game, the last thing that they heard was kind of static in their whisper link, their communications. And that's where we're going to pick up. That's where we're going to kind of start the next game. So, gentlemen, if you're ready, we'll begin session 5. And as you're in the ship, as I said, all of you kind of hear the kind of static in your ear, barely recognizable. But then things start to be a little bit more clear, and you, at least for Andra, Nardo, and Dorn, you guys hear a familiar voice.
Andra's eyes definitely get wide, and she's kind of like, oh, shit. She'll look over to Nardo and basically just, like, start putting up her hands and shaking her head, being like, I didn't know, man. Fuck.
Naruto doesn't say anything. He's just has that distant stare, as you know, not wanting to believe what he just heard.
What about you, Dorn? How would you react to this?
So Dorn is like new-ish to this experience of like taking up vertically from the surface of a planet, and so he would kind of still be feeling a little bit from that experience. He would be like listening carefully, and then he would kind of look between everybody on the ship and see what their reactions were, trying to measure basically what everyone thinks about it without revealing his own.
Now, if you guys recall, Andra and Nardo, you guys remember that when you guys were in Eris Moon Station, and the director, the lady that spoke to you before basically digitizing your friend, she said that Andra was the reason that they found everyone. She made it very clear. And I would think that right about now, Nardo, you'd remember that. You'd remember that she told you, and you guys didn't think about it. And it would make a lot of sense, given Andra's prior employment.
So for Nardo, it's just that so much has been going on. You know, he's a soldier, he follows orders, and you just gotta do that next order, but he hasn't really had that time, and it all comes, you know, kind of just flooding back to him. And it's a subtle thing. You know, he's staring off, his face expressionless, but if anyone looks at his hands, they're just clenching and relaxing, clenching and relaxing. And that carbine is really close. He had set it off to the side as the ship had taken off, but he remembers it's there.
What about you, Marquise? Not really knowing, you know, just brand new to this, just, you know, how would you react to what you said?
Cepheus was not, he didn't have a whisper link in when the message first started, but seeing everyone's change in expression across their faces, he picked one up and put it in about halfway through, catching everything from track and eliminate afterwards. And he's been sitting there slowly chewing on a piece of jerky, watching, confused but wanting to be observant. And he looks to Nardo, and he sees the opening and flexing hands, and he knows what that means, and he sees his eyes slip to the carbine. And Nardo, when you look at it, you're going to see a small spheroid just land on the carbine, blinking pink and blue lights, not doing anything else. And then he just basically keeps looking at Nardo, and then he looks over to see Dorn, to see how Dorn is reacting to all this again.
Doran is good at understanding threat, and so he'd be looking at those hands as well. It's like a really obvious sign. He hasn't said anything. He's kind of just like watching and waiting, but he'll be looking at Nardo's hands and just he wouldn't even be looking at them. He would be like glancing occasionally. He doesn't want to make a deal out of anything. I guess being evasive.
Looking back to Nardo, Adorn is going to say, I take it, this is bad news.
Fuck yeah, it's bad news. We've been tracked this whole time. They're gonna go, follow in our footsteps, find your old lab. Ah, shit.
Did I not tell you this was going to happen?
Fuck. You're right.
That last name, the one who signed it off, Ranford. And then he takes like another bite of jerky in between, and he chews it very slowly, thoughtfully, and then he says, do you know this Ranford? Do you know what the T stands for?
No.
You see this questioning look in Adorn's eyes because he has a theory, but he won't follow up on the theory. He won't voice his speculation. And then he just goes back to looking at you, Nardo, and he says, don't do what you're thinking about doing.
Nardo would kind of half laugh. Should have said something. You knew.
Well, shit. It's too late now. Let's just figure out how they're tracking us. Tracking me.
Too late now. That is what I would also say if I was in your situation.
So Nardo's thinking. It's like a flashback as you kind of go into this flashback that Nardo has. And it's years ago. He's on one of his many missions to attain an asset. It's just this nondescript door. He puts a like a breach beacon on the door, steps back, and there's a flash and a small explosion as the door blows in. And he goes in. He's the first of the team to get in there. And he sees this man trying to get out of this building, but he's too late. Nardo takes him down. And he starts to put the bindings on him, and the man is just pleading with him. And Nardo just not listening. He's done this countless times before. He's an asset. He has to take him. And it's at that point, as he's just about to get these manacles on him, that he looks up, and hanging on the wall is this picture, and it's scanning through these images. And then he stops. The image comes up, and it's this man with his daughter. He pauses. He looks back down at the man. Get out of here. The man stutters, and he goes, my name's Simmons, and I owe you one big. Just get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here before I come back to my senses. And the man quickly escapes out of the back of this building. There's chatter across the radio. Nada reaches down, and he says, asset got away. Surprised me. I'm wounded. And he reaches down and squeezes off 2 shots from his revolver. And in the process, there's a muzzle flash, and it burns the side of his face. And then it comes back to the present. We might have a chance. Off. It's a distant moon. It's on the outer rim. Something there. I don't know what it is. Whether it's the atmosphere, minerals on the moon itself. Scanning's impossible. If we can make it there, we might have a chance. At least until we can figure out where these damn trackers are.
If we don't figure out how to get these trackers out of me or whatever before we get to Oth, they'll know we're headed there. They could be tracking any piece of AIC tech that we have. Do you have any tech left on you? Andra's going to like search her self. You know, she knows that there's probably some sort of sensors even in her clothes. She'll go and find some sort of like.
What about the badges? And he, because we have these, remember these badges we got at the complex. And I guess out of character, would this, I can't remember exactly what this ship's equipped with, but would it have any type of scanner? Like one of those, you know, I think of any sci-fi movie, they always do that scanner where it goes up and down.
You know what? I don't know off the top of my head, Lionel. Why don't you give me just a straight D20 roll?
Perfect.
If you get above 10, there's a scanner.
15. Awesome.
Then there is a basic medical scanner on this ship. Now, can you?
I probably wouldn't know that, but Andra probably most likely would. She probably would have seen that as we're going through the ship.
Okay.
Andra will look over to the doctor, Sethius Adorn, and say, Can you get anything going with this to see if they're tracking the ship? Can you divert our signal? Is there anything you can do? Do you know this model of ship?
Adorn crosses his legs. He puts down the jerky and he takes out a dagger. He begins to kind of like start shaving himself at the edges with it where his beard is. He looks at you and then he looks around the ship and then he says, this ship's got a tracker in it. Ship's got a tracker in it. We'd have to land the ship for me to check it out. But given the ship crash landed, there's a tracker in it. It would have been destroyed. Remember, this thing's pre-Spectre.
And Marquise would know this. This is a ship he's familiar with. This is not a new model. This thing's a relic. You're surprised this thing even held together when you got off of that moon. This technology is probably 50 years old. Chances are, Marquise, you would know that unless they outfitted it with something special recently, they wouldn't be able to track the ship itself.
Which is pretty much what Sethius is getting at when he says it's pre-Spectre and everything. And then he keeps looking at you and he says, your clothes, there's probably some backups in here. Burn yours and put something different on.
Right. And Andra will grab some clothes and then just quickly change. She's pretty unabashed, doesn't really care at this point. And as she's stripping, you guys see like a metal kind of triangular device like right on her chest that has like, you know, a couple different blinking lights. And this is some new tech, so I'm not sure if Sethius would recognize it or not. But Nardo
Seeing that, Sethius would point his dagger at you and just say, "Stop! What is that?"
This it's my breathing apparatus. I had to be implanted with it when I was a child.
He stabs the tip of the dagger into the table he was at, and he gets up, and he's going to take the scanner. What does the scanner look like again, Drake?
This would be just kind of a small kind of like handheld job. Think about it kind of like a tricorder where you actually just go on the head, you know, from head to toe, and it would give you some basic, you know, vital information, you know, foreign objects, things like that.
All right. Sethius is going to take out his arc tool and is going to attach it to the scanner, you know, hitting a few buttons on it. You're going to see some Astra kind of pump from the arc tool into the scanner. And he's going to aim it at Andra and just activate it real quick.
Whoa, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Shut up. And then Drake, do you want me to roll something or?
Sorry, I was muted. Give me a medicine roll, please, with advantage because you attached your arc tool.
All right. Thank God for the advantage. That is going to be a 15.
Okay. You just start getting basic vital information. You know, heart rate. You can see her heart rate's pretty elevated right now. You can see that overall she's in pretty good health, but that it does identify that breathing apparatus as a foreign object. But not only that, you see several. It's like there are several things behind that initial kind of triangle shaped with blinking lights that you can see outside, that this apparatus actually covers all of her lungs, that goes all the way to her back. So this is a complete set, without which most likely she would die. It's something that, but there looks to be, and it's not that good of a scanner. With the modern stuff, you could probably see more, but it looks like there's several devices implanted within this apparatus. There's no way to know what.
He detaches the scanner, throws it back onto a table, and he looks at Dorn and Nardo, and he says, "She's got an entire mechanical system inside her body. They didn't have these back when I was a kid. People would have died if they needed what she needed, apparently. But there's things in there beyond what she needs to breathe."
I have similar contraptions, although mine are not AIC.
Well, hers are AIC. That means if it's AIC, they can track it easy. At least that's my thinking.
We'll have to remove it.
That would kill her.
If she's a mancer,
Guys, I'm
she can
right
do
here.
impossible
You
things.
don't have to talk about like I'm not here.
You're potentially a traitor. I would be quiet if I were you.
That'll definitely shut her up.
Ain't no healing that. Removal of lungs, breaking a spine, destruction of heart, removal of septum. No, she'd die.
We could damage the equipment. I could damage the equipment.
Given what I've seen you do, Dorn, you could damage the equipment, and you damage her, then she might as well just be dead.
I'd like to not be dead.
The other option is that we have a constant tracking device on us.
At that, you see Cepheus walks back to his table, picks up his knife, and just begins shaving himself again.
Nardo, you, having been a little bit more, I guess, up to date on technology, you know that when you were taken as an asset, that you remember them cutting into the back of your neck. And I would imagine that your hand would kind of go to the back of your neck and you would feel the scar. It isn't even completely healed yet. It was only a few weeks ago. And you remember them. You remember the pain because they didn't use any numbing agents or anything. They didn't really care to. And you remember them pulling out what looked like a capsule, probably 3 inches long, maybe half an inch wide, just a small tube. And you saw this blinking. And you remember the color of the lights that were blinking. And as this memory kind of flashes in your head, that blinking sequence matches what you see in Andra's chest.
Yeah, Nato is rubbing the back of his neck. It's probably similar to the blinking that he saw. Remember when we first crashed on that moon and he crushed that tracker? It's the same blinking. So, Nardo's not the swiftest guy on the battlefield. So those things just slowly start to click in. And then he goes, "You got to figure something out, dog. And make sure you scan all of us, not just her. Got something out of my neck, but I want to make sure all that shit's out of me. Sorry, Andra. We got to think about the bigger picture here. Doc, you got to figure something else. You got to figure something out. Even if it means that she might die, we got to take care of this tracking shit."
I could open it up from the front and go in through the triangle. But lots of blood. Should probably bleed out. I could go in through the back of the neck. If yours was in the neck, it might be connected through there too. But what a mistake. I sever the brainstem. She dies. And those mistakes are easy to make.
Maybe it's that point that Nardo just is frustrated and he just interrupts you and he says, I don't goddamn care about all the things that could go wrong. Damn you.
If I may.
Think about how you can make it work. And then he would, when you say that, Doran, he kind of stops and he looks over at you.
You're a mancer. I'm a mancer. It's likely the technology within you works on Astra. And I have the ability to manipulate Astra, as do you. Perhaps we could explore that option. And perhaps we could. And he's like trying to phrase it in a way that isn't like blow the shit up. He's like, perhaps we could change the frequency, for example, if we work together. Now I know that you believe that my talents are less refined, perhaps, than yours, but they are talents nonetheless. But believe that if we work together, you might be able to, at least for a while, hide your presence.
The realization that, again, this untrained, kind of almost barbaric Mancer is right again about things relating to Astra kind of irritates Andra, but she's so terrified right now, she has to just listen and concede. You're right. Do you know how we can try to do that?
Yes. Come with me.
And she'll follow.
So Doran would take her into like the back of the ship, possibly somewhere quiet, and he would like close the door, and he would go to like the like environmental display and like turn the heat way down so that it's quite cold in this room. And he would say, sit. And he would sit opposite her and he would cross his legs. And he would say, we are going to breathe together, one breath. Follow what I do. And then he would start like,
and Andra will kind of hesitantly sit down and follow suit, kind of nervous at first, maybe peeking one eye open and then actually allowing herself to relax and
there is a machine inside you. You are more powerful than this machine. I am mostly machine, and I am able to control those within me, and you are able to control that within you. You must focus and find it. Find the thing inside you giving off this signal. Close your eyes, picture it.
Andra is with her eyes closed, first just seeing darkness, listening intently. She can hear the different clicks as valves open, pumps move. She can feel the mechanical lungs. She kind of moves through the valve, following the path of the air to the heart of the apparatus, and sees kind of this blue Astra sparks making these mechanisms move. Yeah, I think I can see it.
Good. Careful. One of those controls your heartbeat.
And Lloyd, as you guys are sitting there kind of connected, you both have such a connection to the Astra in this world that you can almost, it isn't that you can get inside Andra's head, but you can feel what she's feeling. Not only from the Astra, but from what she's giving off. You guys are connected in this universe through this Astra. As she's describing what she feels, you see it in your mind. You see the Astra that is within all of us, doing what it does to keep life going. And both of you notice what this technology has done. It has almost created an artificial source of Astra that makes these muscles move, that allows the lungs to work, for the heart to work. All these things that are broken on Andra on a genetic level, they have created artificially to keep her alive. And this artificial creation is what has allowed her to manipulate Astra, to be connected to Astra. She was not born with this ability. This technology gave her this ability. Very similar to you, Dorn. And Andra, you come to this realization that you are not a natural mancer. You, like Dorn, were created as well.
Upon realizing that, Andra is just going to get up and start cursing Dorn out, just totally upset, and she's going to immediately leave the room, just like blaming him that this is, she's so pissed.
Dorn would like remain sitting cross-legged in the very, very cold room. There's like steam on his breath, and he would just like finish his meditation. He knows you're not supposed to get up in the middle, particularly when you have magical powers. And he would like finish, take a deep breath out, and open his eyes, and then just like shake his head and follow.
Dorn, as you're like following after, I imagine that Andra just kind of storms past Nardo as he's walking just to check up on how things are going. And so he kind of stops you, kind of puts a hand up to stop you, and he says, "Well, did it work?"
No.
So Nardo doesn't trust you, Dorn. He hasn't since the first time we met. So he goes on a limb and he says, just probably quiet enough just for you to hear. He goes, "I don't tell anybody this, but a while back I let this guy go. I don't know why I did it. Maybe I was just sentimental. Maybe I'm just fucking stupid. But he had a kid like mine. I let this guy go. That's not it, though. He had certain skills. He's a surgeon. Rumor is that he's the head of his field. I think if anybody that could help Andra, it'd be him. I mentioned Oth earlier. Bet he's there. AIC can't find him there. Through all the runners bring the assets. I think we get ahead there. It's Andra's only chance. Fuck. It's all of us' only chance.
Perhaps that's true. I believe that Andra has the ability to fix this herself, although she is unwilling to do so. Nonetheless, this might be our best bet.
Is there any way you could just dampen it for a while? Just till we get there?
Yes. It will be exhausting, but it's possible.
And for like the first time in the tenuous relationship between Nardo and Dorn, he puts a hand on your shoulder and he gives one of those like brotherhood squeezes, which says, it says what the words don't, which is, I trust you to do this.
you would feel like even through the clothing that Dorn is impossibly warm, like really ridiculously, like unnaturally warm. And he would like nod, and then he would make his way back to that cold room. He would turn the temperature down even further, and then he would like close his eyes and basically go into like a trance-like state, during which he would be like consistently using his Astra to like try and dampen the technology level of what Andra has inside.
And Andra, seeing this all going on and having everybody talk about you like you're not there, like you're just an object, like you're a robot or something like that. And yes, Lloyd, as long as you do that, you definitely will take a level of exhaustion. What would be going through your head, Philip? I mean, this is, Andra was informed that she's not everything she thought she was. She looked at Dorn as less than her, as a barbarian, as you said, that created that romancer. He was experimented on and made into a weapon. You were the pure blood, so to speak.
Yeah, so this has just been totally devastating for Andra. All of her criticisms that she's had for Dorn are present in herself. She thought she's been reinforced her entire life that she is a special snowflake from her schooling, that her prep school schooling that her father got for her, to her ascension within the company. And she's realizing that no, they have used her as a product. She is a product of the company. Whereas maybe Dorn is a product of someone else, but she's almost now jealous that he gets to be a more understood and understanding character or person than Andra gets to be. She's just completely fake through and through now, and questioning her entire existence. And she'll kind of look around, seeing if that droid is still on top of Nardo's carbine, and maybe go and reach for it.
Suicide's not the answer, girl. And that's all that Cepheus says. He doesn't even look at you. He just keeps shaving himself and looking out, I guess, through like one of the giant like windows to see like the actual outer space itself. Like you can see Bastion far off in the distance. But he doesn't even look at you. He just says that and keeps shaving.
Philip, you said a droid. What are you referring to? I'm sorry. What did I miss?
Oh,
Or did I forget?
I put one of my spheroids on Lionel's carbine to keep him from reaching for it.
Gotcha. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot that. Yes. Okay, go ahead. Sorry about that.
Yeah, so she probably, yeah. And when Adorn says that, she's just going to just huddle down, back slumped against one of the consoles, and cry for a little bit.
You would feel like just at the moment when you're about to begin crying, this like sonic boom, as if you're standing next to the speaker at like a very, very loud concert, just as like Dorn begins to like suppress the Astra within you. And I guess you're so used to having it just like flow through like a torrent, and now it's maybe like just drips, that you would just suddenly feel this like really heavy sort of feeling in your body.
And as this happens, Andra, you actually not only take one level of exhaustion, you actually take two. This is basically suppressing your life force. This is what keeps you alive. Are pretty well done up right now, just overwhelmed with this feeling. And something that, Marquise, as you remember looking at the scanner, and what you found within Andra. You're familiar with one aspect of this technology. You worked on bringing back dead tissue, using Astra into through mechanical means to continue life. This was an area that you did study, maybe not your focus, but you noticed that without this technology, you found Andra would not be alive, but that something is very strange about her lungs and her heart. It's almost as if they are dead. Artificially, they're really not. It's a very odd thing, and something that maybe you can describe better, as it was something that you studied, but it doesn't have a place within a human being. Out of place, not so much the technology, except the things that are being kept alive.
He lets Andra cry for a second, and then he puts the knife tip down back into the table. And he still doesn't look at her when he starts talking. And he starts saying, your heart, your lungs, your spinal column, that's the most important thing. When I was working on the technology that's currently inside of your body, Andra, I learned a few things. The first thing I learned is that you're already a dead woman. You're being kept alive by what's in you, but you are already dead. I wouldn't say zombie or Spectre or barrel mech or anything like that, but you are thoroughly necrotech. Now that means a couple things for a person like you. Andra. The first thing is I can go ahead and guarantee that you think of yourself as a product right now, which is true, you are a product. But just because you're a product, well, and he turns and looks back at Dorn. And what does Dorn look like as Dorn? What does Dorn look like as he's kind of like meditating and working on suppressing this Astra?
So he's sitting cross-legged. He's got like his palms face up on his thighs. His eyes are closed, but you can see that they're moving very, very quickly beneath the eyelids. There would be like steam. He's like lowered the temperature in the room that he's in pretty dramatically. There would be steam coming from his skin. He runs hot. It's like part of the tech he has in him. His body temperature is much higher than normal. But he would look like he's meditating, although he's actually doing a lot while in there.
Looking back to Andra and then leaning forward, he throws a thumb back to Dorn, or the room that Dorn's at, and he says, that one's a weapon of mass destruction. And what he's doing right now is certainly not an act of mass destruction. You were created to be a servant, to be a tool, all right? But you're still alive. What's in you is keeping you alive. And if he can do what he's doing, then you can do something else too, is how I see it. When I was working on those readies, I was working on making those into weapons. And now they got a whole goddamn society back there on that planet they're ruling. All right? So you got something in you that turns you into a weapon, into a tool, into a tracking device. But I don't think Nardo's realized this shit, but I think if you really want to get back at the AIC, you ought to be using what they gave you against them.
Still crying, but stops as you're talking to her and will wipe a tear away, and she'll look at you with just reservation. Yes, I think you're right. Thank you. And she'll get up and kind of like try to compose herself as she looks over and sees what Nardo's doing.
Yeah, all this shit's well above Nardo's pay grade. He's made his way over to the control console of this ship. He's just looking it over, and he's starting already going through the process of plotting a course to Oth.
And would anyone Just seeing him go to the controls, what you know to be the navigation system, would any of you stop him or say anything to him, or would you just kind of let him do, focusing on what you're doing?
Cepheus right now is a leaf in the wind, and he's going to let the ship go where the ship goes.
Being a leaf on the wind didn't fare very well. The last person who said that when you're on ship, I'm just saying.
Right now, it's not faring well for Cepheus either, but it is what it is.
Yeah, sorry, Lloyd. Too soon. Nardo plots that course to Oth. With the engines on this thing, you are more towards the outer edges of the Bastion system, and the moon of Oth is probably only at full power, probably only about a day. What Lloyd is doing has interrupted some, but Andra, as long as he's doing this of exhaustion. And Lloyd, you will continue to have the one. And I think for now, that's where everyone remains for the duration of this trip. As you fly through space on your way to the moon of Oth, where Nardo has said he may know somebody who can help. And for that interaction, guys, every single one of you gets a point of inspiration, because that was fabulous. All of you. I planned about 10 minutes for that, and that went an hour, but so hold on a second. I'm reading chat. Okay. So, Andra, describe what you think is going through Andra's head. We know what she's going through physically. She's exhausted. She can't catch her breath. She feels like she just ran a marathon. But her brain would be functioning fine. What would be going through her head? What options? What would she want to do, even if she was unable?
Well, the kind of pep talk from Adorn, as well as the now newfound connection with Dorn that she has, she's kind of just been realizing that these two new companions genuinely care enough for her to try and help her overcome what has recently become the worst thing that could happen to her, being AIC property all the way through. But Adorn's right. We're not what we're made when she still has control over her mind. So she's kind of just, constantly going through a state of grief, jealousy for everyone else that is not, as Adorn said, just the living dead. She, at some points, hates Adorn for working on technology that is used to keep her alive, but at other times is so grateful. Just all sorts of emotional mixtures.
And before we get to Oth, Lloyd, what is Dorn, as he's kind of meditating and focusing on suppressing within Andra, what's going through his head? Is it just blank? Is he just anything? What does he meditate on? Was he taught this? Is it something he just came up with?
Yeah, he would have been taught to do this kind of thing for more nefarious purposes, like to connect with people for interrogation purposes. And so he would sort of see himself somewhere else, it would be this like sort of sterile white, all around white. But he would see in front of him like the various, like as if on a lab table, the various parts of Andra that he like needs to fix. So he would see like the spinal column and like the heart and all that sort of stuff, and he would just be looking at them like as if he was a doctor or a surgeon, and he would kind of like be standing there in this white infinity, and occasionally just be moving his hands like a conductor, sort of moving things around to ensure that nothing drops below the necessary point, but also not high enough that it's giving something away. And even in his meditating form, like in his imagination, even there he's sweating.
So this trip goes without incident. And the four of you find yourself in a high orbit around the moon of Oth. Nardo, you set this course. What are you looking for? Is there a place? Is there a name? Is there a landmark? What would you be scanning for with this ship?
Well, I think that's the challenge for Nardo. He's trying to scan, but something is just making it's like he knows the moon's there, he sees it, but it's like it's not there. It doesn't exist on the scanner. And then he thinks to himself, he's like, maybe he's just gonna have to do it the old-fashioned way. Use an older tech. I mean, this ship's already old, but and with your permission, Drake, I'm going to say one of the things he has is like this old school kind of like ping scanner that was probably still in the ship, but it was at some point replaced with a newer version of scanning that was more like interstellar type scan. And so he kind of fires this thing up. There's kind of that smell. If you ever smell like an old radio, it's that smell of like a radio tube or something, and it's even that little bit of a hum, and,
like the ozone smell.
Yeah, exactly, like that ozone smell. And he's looking for, he's never been here. All of this is just theory for Nardo, but there's it's not a city, but there's some sort of vestige of civilization on this planet. Yeah, settlement. Thank you. And that's what he's scanning for.
Okay. And while you're doing that, Lloyd, you've been to Oth before. At least back. You know about this moon. You know what's here. How does he know it? How does he remember this place?
He has been here for 3 separate actions or missions or assassinations. It's whatever you want to call it. He would call them actions. Others might call them murders. But he's been here a few times taking out key figures, as was his job description for a long time.
And specifically, what was your last mission here, and how long ago was it?
6 years ago was the last time he was on this particular planet. He had to eliminate a target.
Did your house just fall down, bro?
Yeah,
what was that noise?
It's the end of the world here. So there's just somebody in the kitchen. So 6 years ago, he came to this planet and he had to eliminate a target. It was another Mancer. Sorry, can you come back to me? There's a lot of noise right now.
Sure, no problem. I need Nardo. Actually, you know what? Let's do this. Marquise, give me a history roll, please.
Got you, boss man. All right, so it's a 19 plus 4, so it's a 23.
So Dorn's been here before for missions. He knows kind of the layout. He knows that this is a primarily a snowy kind of Arctic moon. It's so far away from the Bastion sun that it doesn't really get very much. It's kind of on the outer limits of a habitable planet. Think Hoth from Star Wars. But before you joined AIC, you always had an interest in animals and beasts and things like that. You know that on Oth, a species was discovered that they called garworms. I'll put it in chat so you're good. And know that AIC had an interest in these worms at first, that when they're young, they have some type of a on Astra. You also know that you've heard stories about full-grown garworms, but you've never seen one. You've actually never even seen. But it's one of those things where you never really thought enough of it to really check it out. You had other focuses that you had to do, but these worms are what makes Oth special. It's the only indigenous life form. And the people here are mainly only here for two reasons. Either to farm these worms or to hide, as nothing can scan this moon. He was sent to assassinate people here. As a weapon of the Sept, he knows the layout, but he never bothered to really learn much about anything. But each of you has a small piece of the puzzle about this moon. She's pretty useless. Just FYI, that's what you know with that.
With this fantastic information about garworms, if anyone looked at Cepheus, you see him nodding his head like, oh yeah, that's this place. He wouldn't say anything or explain shit to anybody. He's like, oh, this is it. And that's that. Useless reaction for the information.
Acceptable. And Nardo, just for your information, and actually, I would say Dorn too, both of you know that most people are outcropping towards the northernmost pole of this planet. It's a rather large settlement. Think about it as like Isley, except with snow. Okay? Just people that want to disappear are here. There's bad people here. And Dorn and Nardo is known as Haven. What would you guys like to do?
Yeah, so that's what Nardo's looking for, and so he's using this ancient tech to try to ping this planet. And what he's looking for is anything that would be synthetic. And he knows roughly where to look just from rumors he's heard, maybe people he's taken into custody and interrogated. You know, I guess AIC has just never had an interest to really warrant them really going to Oth. So so that's what he's looking for, and he's kind of guiding the ship that way.
I guess, you know, give me a technology roll.
Certainly. All right. Yes, nat 20, and I needed that because that is not my strong suit.
Not only do you find this settlement, but strange place. You, when you're attempting to kind of use this primitive technology, scan all around the ship. And this primitive technology notices another ship in orbit around this moon. And it recognizes it, the ship. So those are the two things you find. Not only this settlement that you need to go to, but that you are not the only ship orbiting this moon.
So Nardo would just kind of say over his shoulder, there's another ship here. So is Andra, is she done having her little moment as we've made this journey, Andra?
She'll be a little fragile for this whole session, I imagine.
Yeah, but anyways, he doesn't care. No time for feelings. He's like, Andra, get your ass up here. What can you make of this ship here?
She'll kind of like shuffle over and see if she knows anything about the ship.
What do you think would be an appropriate role here, Philip? Which skill?
I would say probably either history or insight.
I like astrogation. I think you're right. I think we'll do astrogation with it.
All right, astrogation. That'll work. Well, I rolled the nat 1. And she's still kind of delirious.
Going, looking at this thing, kind of eyes blurry and feeling like crap, and you just kind of look up at Nardo and go, puppy?
Nardo just looks at that and he just goes, fuck's sake. And he would kind of just press a few points on the console, and he would look and he says, just get the fuck out of here. And he would do an astrogation check.
Well, before you do that, I would think that Philip would be so delirious, that Andra would be so delirious here. As you rolled a crit fail, Philip, as you were kind of, you know, out of it and walking away, I think that you took your hand and you kind of slammed it down on the console, not in a mean way, but just trying to play with buttons, just kind of being silly. And as you do that, 2 of the 3 escape pods attached to this transport are jettisoned.
And shit, yep, she's just not even going to realize what she did and be like,
what the fuck? Yeah, that's all that Cepheus can say. It's literally just, he sits straight up and is just staring at you like, what the fuck?
All right, so I'm just going to retcon what I said, Drake. So what Nardo actually does, it's a lot different. He stands up, grabs her gruffly by both of her arms just below the shoulders and gives her a shake, and he says, you better get your shit squared away, girl. And he kind of just, not really meaning to hurt her, but he's just really frustrated with what she just did. And he just kind of shoves her back off towards the doctor. And that's when he would turn around and do the taps on the console. The escape pods are gone. They're down to just 1 now. So fuck, I hope we don't need those. Because Andra's not getting 1. And I got a 15 on the roll.
then yeah, you'll be able to kind of manually pilot this down. It's kind of a fly by wire deal. There's no Spectre technology here. There's no navigation, but you did find where the settlement is, and you can have a direct line to it. So if you would like, you can manually pilot this skirts of that settlement of Haven.
Right, and I guess he would try to get like any kind of comm as he gets closer. He would just want to just see if he can just check the comm channels just to see if he can raise like some sort of someone from down on the planet.
It would be kind of creepy. Doran would like be standing behind you somehow, like he would have moved quietly through the ship and be behind you, and he would say, "It is possible, indeed probable, that I will not receive a warm welcome here."
Nardo doesn't say anything. He's just like, no. He just shakes his head.
I have been here many times. I have caused damage to the infrastructure. I have taken out key figures here before. It's possible that they will remember me.
Were you a terrorist?
Worse, I worked for a sept.
Mm.
However, if we're looking for disreputable or illegal organizations, I do have a keen eye in spotting them, since that was once my job.
And I think that as you go down, Nardo, you just kind of shrug. You just kind of put your, well, this is where we're going, and learning all this information as you come down through the atmosphere. You hit just a bunch of turbulence as you come in through the clouds, and just are almost this blinding kind of white reflection comes off of this moon as 90% of it is just covered in just bright white snow. You see the blues of ice sheets and the whites of the snow. And every once in a while you see like a rocky outcropping. But then off in the distance, as you're going down a few minutes, Nardo, you notice small kind of plumes of black smoke coming up a few square miles, but all the buildings are tightly packed together. Think about it. It's kind of like a shanty town, but just crammed together. And you are able to successfully land this transport ship probably a mile away or so from it. And it just kind of sinks into several feet of snow.
So Drake, just I apologize for interrupting you. Is there any chance that Nardo can try to, and I'll make a roll for this, try to land the ship so it's not out in a plain of snow, but maybe kind of land it in maybe where there's some outcroppings of like snow peaks or what, not peaks, but like in like a small valley or something?
I don't think you need to roll for that. I would say sure. I mean, you're visually scanning, so you'll be able to see these things. So sure, you could absolutely put this where there's kind of like an outcropping or something like that, or maybe at the side of a big mountain or something like that.
Yeah, I just wanted some
probably be a little,
just in case. Yeah,
absolutely. Marquise, what was your question?
I just want to know if I could fashion a mask for Dorn, since it's going to be well known. I don't want people looking at him. Just with the random shit on the ship. Yeah. What was that?
Absolutely. But you tell me what that random shit looks like and how it would fit on his head.
Dorn and Cepheus, he just starts looking around. He has his arc tool with him, and you see droids like moving here and there, taking like panels off the ship or things from the table. At one point, he finds like a spare gun, and he deconstructs it. And he has this really jank-looking mask that he forges together with his arc tool really hastily. So like instead of like cracks in the mask, you see like that welded melted like metal look that's cooled down, holding it together, and it just looks like just really jerry-rigged pretty much. And he picks it up, and he has like a bandolier leather strap on the back of it, and he throws it to Dorn, and he says, Wear that, not trying to get shot up because someone recognized you because you killed their leader or their cult leader or their best friend or some shit like that.
He would like look down at it, this like really imperfect thing. And he would just like begin putting it on. Probably very uncomfortable.
Oh, extremely uncomfortable. It's like very cold to like your warm skin. So.
And you guys land successfully. You rig that mask up. Dorn puts it on. The rear of this transport goes down slowly till it hits the ground, and all of you are just kind of just hit with this rush of this just frigid air just biting at any piece of exposed skin in your trek towards the settlement of Haven. And that's where we're going to take a break.
Intense.
Man, Drake, you always blow my friggin' socks off, man. This session is just like right out the gate.
Well, I've been holding on to that rando recording for over 2 months. He did it like the day after our last game for me, and he actually tuned in to listen to that one Pete. He just wanted his golden moment. So
that was, I mean, so the way you use that in your games, it's awesome. I'm just speechless. When you started playing that, I was like, fuck yeah.
Well, good. I need to pee.
Right.
So guys, take like, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes, get a drink, bio, do whatever you got to do.
So,
all right.
So I get 2.
Yeah, you get 2, so you'll be back in 5.
Yes.
All right, everybody. At least I'm back. Lionel will be the last one back. He always is. But if you haven't checked it out, we have a new episode of Something RPG-ish, the podcast that I do with Jake Norman on Death and Dying. If you go to Podbean or iTunes, it's episode 18. So if you want to listen to a good podcast, go check it out. So guess we should actually roll something, huh? I mean, haven't really rolled anything today. We just not might. When you're having good players like this, though, I really don't have to do anything. The RP is just fantastic. So, anyway.
It's fantastic until they start shooting out escape pods.
Well, I figured him just not knowing anything wasn't a good critical fail. He had to do something a little bit more extreme.
Yeah.
So, but it's all good. But yeah, man. No, I'm just kind of loving the dynamic. Everything just kind of, everybody's doing really well with it. But I mean, it's to be expected with the people that are in this game. So, Told you, man. Good players make a decent DM look fabulous, and I appreciate that.
Also, very true.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, Lionel. Apparently, Leo posted on your thing, and he posted a picture of Philip, and was like, "Yeah, I just logged in first. I bet that bastard shut it off right after he heard his own voice." I bet. That's just fun. No, man, honestly, doing that audio stuff is, we all have our thing, and I just enjoy doing it. I think it, in certain situations, it adds stuff, and you know, it's just my thing. So, oh yeah, you just reposted to him.
Yeah, I had noticed it, so I just wanted to comment and tell him that we miss him, because I miss that freaking bastard.
Lionel, how are you back before Philip? What the hell, dude?
Because I have been so historically bad in getting back after a break that I'm like, I'm going quit.
Yeah, there was that one that I was like, okay, guys, we got 2 minutes. You came back in 10.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I remember that.
I vividly remember that. That's why I wanted to start off with a good clean slate today.
It's all good. You doing okay, Lloyd? Doing all right over there?
Yes, sir.
It still wigs me out every time I see you on video and it's not dark. It's just odd to me.
Yeah, dude, me too. I'm just so used to playing at like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, oh, right. It's like, and there's people around in the house, you know, like this is the other weird thing.
Yeah, man, that overlay looks awesome that you did.
Yeah, it does.
Thank you.
I finally turned up my settings so I can actually see everything crisp. So that's good. And Lionel, what's with this whole video thing you got going, man? I didn't.
That is thanks to Lloyd and another guy, Nico. They like to use these GIF images on the back of their XSplit. So I've been starting to.
I think I played with him. Didn't I the other night? Yeah. Lloyd, didn't I play?
Yep.
Yeah.
Nick Dawson.
Yeah. He's like was it English or something, right? Or did I miss that? Australian? Same thing.
I don't think
Americans
like that.
Exactly.
Americans, Canadians, same thing.
It's true. Well, you're basically a Canadian. You're in Maine.
So. Oh yeah. Yep.
I mean, you and Connor and Megan need to all hang out and talk about snow and shit.
I'm gonna go over and see Sam. He lives right over in Vermont. That's my old stomping grounds.
Why do you need to see him? He's on live streams all day long.
I know, but I want to see if that's actually him.
You get there, Lionel, and instead of Sam, it's just me waiting for you. Yeah. I never thought you'd figure this out, Lionel.
Yes.
We've all been catfished. We've all been catfished.
Right.
That's awesome.
He says masterfully, what is it? Lip synced to these videos that are going on the interwebs.
It was me all along.
All right, guys. So if everybody's back, we are good. So Dorn, you are the only one who's really been here before. Nardo, you know of this place. You know that the assets tend to run here. If they do get away, they tend to congregate here. Lloyd, I would say that since you're not concentrating anymore, you do not have that level of exhaustion. But Andre, you still have one. You're still recovering. So yeah, guys, you are the kind of back of the transport is down. And it kind of reveals that kind of tundra in front of you. What would all of you like to do?
Well, what can we find in the way of gear that we can put on that would protect us for the jaunt
elements
over to the village? Yeah.
Well, I think that any transport ship is going to have kind of those standard, what would you call them? Kind of like exosuits or like, environmental suits.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool.
So I think all of you could put that on. I think that the only one probably that would be odd is Dorn would probably not be able to put the helmet on with his mask. He would either be able to put the helmet on or the mask. He would not be able to put the mask over the helmet. But he's so warm naturally due to his technology that may not be a problem for him.
Yeah, he likes it cold. I think like the thing would open and he would just let it like a
Okay. Should you guys just be headed in the haven? Yeah.
And as Nardo's just about to get the helmet on his exosuit, he would just say to everybody, you know, it's kind of tucked under his arm, and he just goes, you know, I tried to raise anybody on the comms and didn't get nothing, so I have no idea what we're walking into. So just head on a swivel, guys. And then you put the suit on.
When you say head on a swivel, you just see both Titus and Constantine, which are the two droids that I have. They just kind of lift up into the air and begin humming and moving in a circle around all of us as we walk out.
And what are those? What are they doing, Marquise? What are those things that are around you?
So these are my spheroids, and as a slip dagger, I can use a new type of spheroid called Scout. So basically, it lets me be able to look through them when I want to. So I'm just intermittently like using them to basically check out our surroundings and make sure we're not being flanked or followed or anything like that.
Cool. That's one of the new drones from the
Yes,
new playtest.
sir.
Awesome. Sounds pretty cool. And that's specific to a slip dagger?
Yes,
Or is
sir.
that just in general?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
cool.
just a slip dagger.
Okay. Then with that, really nothing is going to mess with you guys as you go through this snow. I mean, it's going to be a bit of a difficult trek. In areas, the snow is going to be 2 or 3 feet of just powder. And in some areas, it's just harder, and you'll be able to, go on top. Andrea, you probably have a better time than anyone as the lightest. You generally don't sink too far down. But as you guys get to the edge of this settlement, and like I said, everything's just kind of packed together. There are small alleys, like those 80s post-apocalyptic cities where they're dirty and grungy and there's neon lights, just people everywhere. They're all huddled up, but within this area, it seems to be a little bit warmer, just because of the buildings. They're either generating heat or they have ways to generate heat. So there's really no snow or ice within this settlement. But yeah, you guys, as you kind of get there, you just notice, people walking just as if nothing, just like a regular settlement that all of you have seen before. It's just on a moon that only one of you has been before. What would you guys like to do?
I think the first thing Nardo would want to do is look for anything that looks like it's a central hub, like a meeting point. All communities have it. I don't care how small it is or how big it is. So that's what he's looking for. His eyes are just scanning for that.
Yeah. Off in the distance, down the road a piece, you would see a glowing pink neon sign. Only neon sign that's still working on the street. And Marquise, what is the name of this sci-fi saloon, so to speak, this tavern, but in a post-apocalyptic 80s?
Oh man, it has to be something like really cheesy, right?
Sure. That's why I'm asking you.
Can I come up with one word and someone comes up with another word?
Sure, absolutely.
All right, my word's going to be hot.
Okay, Lloyd, you're going to the hot what?
I'm seeing like neon, so I'm seeing that it's hot shots.
Hot shots?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I love it.
So Lionel, you see a neon sign where everyone seems to be kind of congregating, and you even hear kind of a low rumble of a lot of people cheering and stuff like that. And the sign outside says hot shots, and there's a little picture of like a little, maybe like a hunk of meat and like a drink. You assume that this is a saloon. And Lloyd, you've seen this place before. Okay. You've seen this place before, but you've never been in.
Okay. Yep, I would be as nervous as Dorn is capable of being. Like, he's like programmed not to feel like fear or hesitation and things like that. But even so, there's like a sense of unease.
So Nardo, would you be kind of leading this? Would you be kind of leading the way here?
Yeah, you certainly would.
So as you guys get there, the it's like those swinging kind of saloon doors, like from the old West, except they're metal and they're rusted and they have rivets. You see some how do I say friendly people outside offering you their services, so to speak, ladies of the night, so to speak. And when you kind of go through those doors and the doors swing open, you see this just very large open space. There's people drinking, there's people cheering, there's people watching these kind of kind of these like hologram ladies dancing, and over here there's there's some sports ball game on there, and everybody's just drinking and laughing. This is obviously a saloon or a tavern, someplace where people congregate, probably one of the few places in this area where people come to have fun. And actually you and Andra would get this very strange feeling coming from the back left corner. Something is strange. Something from a Andra, it feels almost like you felt when Dorn was trying to suppress your Astra, but not in that intense. But both of you feel it's kind of like a Jedi hat feeling like a disturbance in the Force. Something's not right there. So Nardo, seeing this, where would you head? What would you tell your companions?
Jeez. He's thinking, actually, at this moment, he's thinking to himself, he's like, as he spots this place, he's been in places like this, it doesn't matter what moon you're on. It's bad. He immediately looks at Andra and he pulls her close, but not in a rough way. And he just says, this is going to be a dangerous place. Stick by Dorn and I. Don't say anything. Because I'm imagining she's still sort of a hot mess. And then he would say, all right, guys, everybody just stay frosty. And we'll walk in.
Okay. And Dorn, did you put your mask on?
Yeah, I would have. I wouldn't have worn the helmet. I'd have worn the mask instead.
Okay, awesome. So, like I said, there's it looks like there's people, kind of placing bets. You see, tables with gambling. You see people eating, people drinking. Like I said, you see a lot of things. Lionel, what area would you be looking at? At the very back, you do see a very long bar with your typical bartender. Looks like he has his right arm is metal. Looks like it's been replaced, and he also has one eye that looks to be glowing red.
Yeah, so obviously that'd be the place that Narda would go. I mean, you can't enter a seedy bar and not go right to the bar. But just one thing. So one of the things I think that we would do, maybe even before we left the ship, is making sure there's any kind of signage on these these suits that might mark us as AIC or anything like that. We don't want to look that way. I don't think we do. Nardo doesn't think we do, just because we're such a freaking mixed bag of mess. So yeah, he just looks over at the rest and he just goes, and then he starts walking towards the bar.
Yeah, I think, remember, this ship was left there by Rando's mother to get away. Marked. Even the AIC stuff on the ship itself was either blacked out or removed or burnt off. So I think the exosuits would be the same way. They would be in good working order for now. But there. So as you guys kind of get up to the bar, people are moving and bumping into you. And now, Marquise, Sethius hasn't been around this group of people, this large group of people, this loud kind of raucous for many, many years. Would he be comfortable? What would he be feeling?
Nah, Sethius fucking hates it. He wants to take off his helmet because he can barely breathe, right? But he doesn't want all these people looking at him. He doesn't like being around all these people. He hears the yelling and the shouting and people having just a merry good time. And it sounds like 100 different things inside the jungle, because the jungle is nothing but an echo chamber that takes sounds that you love and turns them back against you. So he actually doesn't go towards the bar. He doesn't stay by the door. He goes and he finds a corner. The first corner he goes to is full of people. He goes to another corner, and this one's empty. And he's going to sit there and take off the helmet and put it on the table and just take a few deep breaths and just watch everything else happen, because he is having no business with all these people.
Okay. And Dorn, Andra, and Lionel, you guys going to walk up to the bar?
Yeah, Dorn would definitely make his way up there. He'd be like looking around, probably not very conspicuously. It's not really a strong suit. He would be looking around for anyone who might recognize from his times here, but mostly getting to the bar.
Okay. And like I said, Andra, I'd imagine you're just tired. You just want to sit down. Yeah.
Yep. Sorry, guys.
That's fine. We still see two of Philip in here. So, Nardo, as you get to the bar, to your left, you see kind of a glass case with an open top, and there's some dirt on the ground. You see the dirt kind of undulating and moving. It's probably 5 feet long and 3 feet wide, about a foot of dirt in there. And you see, as a few of these creatures that are kind of going in and out of the sand or the dirt, you see a few of them break through the top. And Lionel, I want you to put up the small picture that you have. You see that these are, especially most of you know that these are the baby garworms. They're probably 6 to 7 inches long. You see them kind of almost glowing in a very subtle way. This blue kind of rhythmic glow. And as they get closer, it almost like to each other, they kind of get excited, and that blue glow kind of gets faster and faster, and then they go back under the thing. So you probably see half a dozen of these things just on there. And Dorn, you would know that what these are. You've seen them before. You haven't really done anything with them, but you've seen them. And it's pretty obvious, knowing what you guys know about this place, of what these creatures are. Okay. And Andra and Dorn, you guys would both be, for lack of a better phrase, drawn to these little creatures. And I need both of you to give me a wisdom save, please.
Okay, I need to do so at disadvantage because of my level of exhaustion.
Mm-hmm.
$11.
So both of you, almost, you don't really know why, but you start tracking over towards this glass case. Lionel is ahead. Nardo's ahead of you. He's standing at the bar. Veer off to the left until you're standing kind of like little kids with your hands on the glass case, just kind of looking. Just you want to grab them. You want them with you. They're just emanating something that draws you to them. And I need both of you to make one more wisdom check. I need you to roll with disadvantage 2, Dorn, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Okay. Andra, you kind of look around and you stick your hand in, right? And you kind of, feel, and you kind of touch one, and you get a little zap, and it just kind of shocks you a little bit. Nothing really crazy, but you feel when you're touching this thing, you feel warm. You feel like you don't have a care in the world. Almost like this euphoria comes over you. It's something that you haven't felt before in your life. And as you do, as you're just kind of there for probably 30 seconds, you're holding it, but to you, it feels like an hour. It feels like a day. It feels like forever that you are in this amazing euphoric state. And I imagine if people look at you, your eyes are like in the back of your head, just, rolled up, just, oh, just that kind of something about holding this creature brings you this happiness, because you have had happy times in your life. You don't have much tragedy other than the loss of your father. This creature has a connection with you, and you feel it, and it feels you. But after a short time, the bartender comes behind and actually smacks you in the hand. What the hell are you doing?
Well, I'm sorry. It's just so adorable.
You don't touch the merchandise. If you don't have the glint, you do not touch these creatures. Do you understand me?
They're for sale? How much are they?
And he just kind of looks you up and down. You can't afford it. And he looks over to Dorn. You too. I'm warning you. Don't touch it. And he, as I said, I imagine, would you drop it when he smacks your arm? Philip, would you?
Yeah, I would drop it, but as I'm like asking him like how much they are, and he's telling me not to touch it, I'm probably going to like maybe, try to get closer a little bit.
That's when a hand would grab Andra and start pulling her away, as you would hear Cepheus basically saying, "It's my daughter, sorry, she's new here." And he just drags her back to the table he was sitting at.
Okay, perfect.
Doran turns his head to the side at the bartender, who's like giving him this look and this no one speaks to Doran this way ever, and he's not used to it. And so as he says, like, just don't touch it, he just like look at him and then would like begin moving his hand towards the worm.
And then you just hear, "Oh, and my son, I'm sorry."
And as you say that, the bartender looks at you, Marquise. Lloyd, I need you to give me a sleight of hand roll with advantage because Marquise is distracting him.
Sure.
$17. You absolutely get your hand in there in a very subtle way as Marquise is distracting him. And you grab this thing. And for a moment, you feel this kind of warm, kind of calming sensation. And then in your mind, again, your eyes kind of roll back in your head, and you're not here anymore. You're not in this place. You're in a gray cell with a metal door. You feel scared. You feel alone. And a small child, probably 8 or 9, is sitting on the bed across from you. You're obviously sharing this room. And she walks over to you. You see, you look at your arms. You're all bruised. She's all bruised. You're cut. You both have wounds. You're remembering part of something that either has been removed or is blocked. And that young girl looks up at you. And in this cold place, this is what you remember.
Mr. Dorn, are they coming back? Please don't let them take me again. It hurts so much. No, go away. No, don't. Don't let them take me. Mr. Dorn, please.
And that's when the memory just kind of fades to black as you see them taking this small child away, and you just feel this loss, this anger, this fear. And you are back, and you realize that your hand is inside, holding on to this creature. And you've picked it up, and you're just looking at it. What would you do?
I think that he would just begin slowly walking backwards from where he is and not look where he's going. He would trip over a chair and fall into it, and then realize that this is the thing that's made him see that, and have a mix of wanting to get rid of it as quickly as possible but also needing it. So he's going to take out one of the various containers that he would have on him and put the thing in there and close it off.
And you're realizing as this is coming back, this is just a snippet of this memory, but you realize that this is when you were created. This is when you were experimented on in the seps to create the siphon and the skills and powers that you've been given. You weren't the only one that went through this. Young, old, whoever had the gifts that they thought might survive, tried. You remember two phrases. You remember Project Valkyrie. And you remember codename Fenrir. And beyond that, you don't even remember this little girl's name. But you do remember that she was important to you. And that you haven't seen her since.
Yeah, it's incredibly frustrating remembering part of it and the baggage that comes with that. Oh yes, this was a thing, but then the thing that feels most important to him, he has no idea about. And yeah, he had he didn't have to deal with this for a long time because they just removed it from him, but now he's struggling.
And remember, the rest of you don't know what he saw. You just know his reaction. Andre, you know that when you grabbed it, you felt this euphoric, good feeling, just that all was right with the world. Sethius, you just kind of pulled Andre and then didn't realize that that Dorn was going to do that. And because of that sleight of hand, you actually weren't caught, Dorn, when you grabbed this thing. But the longer that you hold it, the warmer your hand is getting, unless you put it in something. Nardo, seeing all this going down, what are you doing?
Oh, leaving? No, I'm just kidding. So he walks up just thinking, all right, let's just play this cool, guys. We got this. So it's takes off the helmet, sets it on the bar. He leans in to just start making some small talk with this bartender. And that's when he sees the bartender look over and he sees this cage. And that's when he sees Andra and Dorn just kind of drawn to it like a moth to light, moth to flame. And he's just like, fuck. But then he sees, what's your first name, Marquise? What's your character's first name?
Sethius.
Oh, okay. I thought it was something different than that. So he sees Sethius go over and he's thinking, all right, good thinking, Doc. You quick on your feet. But then I don't know if he would see, would he see Dorn snatch that one up out of there?
I would say probably out of the corner of his eye. He probably had a suspicion, but he probably wouldn't have really seen it. You try to probably be more staring at the bartender trying to get his attention.
Yeah. So Nardo would walk up to him and say, "Yeah, sorry, we just got here." And he would kind of impose himself between Dorn and the bartender, kind of just step in between, and he'd be like, "Yeah, so those them gar worms I heard about look so bad."
Yeah, when they're this young, they'll fetch quite the price. They don't generally get bigger than this. If you let them get beyond that, they get a bit too aggressive to control. And these may look cute now, but when they grow up, boy, better stay away.
And what I'd like to do, Drake, is as he's saying that, he's with his other hand, like his left hand, he's like kind of just like doing like a little to Dorn to like put the freaking glowworm back before you get caught. But I'll leave it to him to decide what he's going to do.
Yeah, he would like take a container and put the worm in there.
Okay. Marquise, so you kind of took control over your son and daughter here. What would you be telling them? What would you be doing? What would you be thinking?
Stupid fucking goddamn idiots. Go back into a fucking... And then he gets to the table, and he almost throws 100 to the table, but then he turns to Dorn and he says, "You ought to fucking know better."
Yeah, he would like nod and like turn his head to the side. I lost control.
He wipes his nose. He looks back to Anja, and it's just like, "And you, when are you going to stop fucking compromising everything that we do, woman?"
Look, I lost control too, same as him. Those things, I don't know, they just drew me to them.
He looks back at Nardo, and he sees Nardo talking to the bartender. And he knows that this is the place that we need to be to gather information, but this is not the place for these two manses to be at who cannot control themselves. And so he looks to them both and he says, "Both of you go outside right the fuck now. I'm going to talk to Nardo, and we're going to do this a different way."
Fine.
And he looks at Dorn to see if he's going to resist this or not.
No, he's. I think you would know something's up with him. Like he's quiet and withdrawn.
He can definitely see that there's something wrong with you because you're not being your normal, like almost kind of like emotionless but still talkative self. So he lets you both go outside, knowing he'll join you in a second, and he waits for Nardo to finish, and he hails Nardo to come back to this table.
Right. So I don't know how the bartender responds beyond that. Nardo would probably it would be like this awkward small talk where he says, "Well, what's one of those worms go for?"
Here on off, well, not many of them stay here, but these worms don't last long when they're out of this atmosphere. Something about the ground or the snow or some shit. We don't know. All I know is that if I have them, people buy them. I don't care what they do with them. These mancers, it's like catnip for them. They get just, I don't know. They get all wigged out on them. It's like a drug for them. Whatever. Some of them, they go on bad trips. Some of them it's good. Depends on the mancer.
Yeah. Nardo would just kind of, oops, sorry.
No, it's fine.
Nardo would just kind of shake his head and say, "Fucking mancers." Anyways,
yeah, but
I'm fucking thirsty, man. Anyway, could get a couple drinks for me and Pop over there. And he would just signal to the table where he had dragged Dorn and Andra. And
okay.
I imagine maybe we scraped together a little bit of glint.
Within all the people that you've looted, killed, I'd say you probably have 10 or 15 between all of you. I would assume that you had most of
Defended
it.
ourselves, Drake. Defended ourselves from. We didn't kill.
Correct. Defended yourself, or looted the bodies after a big red ape killed them.
Right.
So yeah, I would say that you had probably 15 glint, which is a very small amount. It's probably equivalent of like $10. But he pours you a couple of drinks. It's very lightly kind of carbonated, kind of a caramel color, kind of a brownish. It really doesn't smell good. It's obviously a homebrew specialty of the house, so to speak. And he just
Nardo lived in the barracks, man. We made our own homebrew all the time. This is probably like home to him. So he would pay the man maybe like 5 or 10 glint. Is that what it is?
He would just say 2. He just
2
said
glint. All right.
He would just hold up 2.
So he'd put 2 glint down, and then he'd put 3 more, and he'd slide that halfway to the bartender, and he'd lean in and he'd take a sip. Some good shit.
Low standards. I like you.
He goes, it's the lifestyle. Being a runner's tough. He goes, so I've heard that this is a place to find some safety for some assets. And he would just kind of thumb a little bit over his shoulder. And it's kind of a job I'm on right now. Helping this family out.
You another one of those trackers trying to take those poor people in. You one of those AIC motherfuckers. We don't take kindly to them here.
I think Nardo wouldn't say anything, but the minute he says AIC, the look on Nardo's face would probably say, fuck AIC. And it'd probably be genuine because literally he would think about everything AIC has done to fuck his life. And he would be just like, yeah. And he wouldn't say anything beyond that, but he'd say, I got a friend living here. At least he was. He's probably fucking dead. Name was Simmons. He's a mechanist. Pretty skilled too. Imagine he'd make a pretty good life here for himself.
He kind of looks at you, looks over at Sethius, and he says, he kind of takes his hand and he grabs the 2 glint and he puts his hand over the extra 3 and he goes, Simmons. Yeah, maybe I know him. Or I've heard of him. But I can't be sure. And he takes those 3 coins and he kind of drops, like click, 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 click. He's just kind of dropping them over and over. He goes, but my memory's a little fuzzy.
Yeah, perfect. And that's when another glint comes out and he says, is your memory clearer now? And if not, then he would put a second. Yeah,
if you put two more out, he'd go, yeah, Simmons. He's a mechanist, right? Came about 5-6 years ago.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah. You may want to be careful looking for him. A lot of people have come looking for that guy, but he's still here. You didn't hear from me. On the west edge of the city or the settlement. I'd be polite. Knock. Tell him I sent you.
Yeah, that sounds like Simmons. Didn't catch your name.
Yeah, you're right. You didn't. Just tell him the guy at the bar. Tell him the hot shot sent you.
The hot shot. Thanks. And he would slide the glint over to him and he would take the 2 drinks. Because that's all he got. He got a drink for him and Sethius. And he walks over to the table.
And as you're walking, he looks over at Sethius and he goes, hey, by the way, your friends, they're a little odd. You may want to keep them away from my place. I don't want them touching anything again. Do you understand?
Sethius looks at him and he gives him the the bartender the same look the red gorillas would give Cepheus right before they try to maul his ass. He just gives him that look once, and then he looks back over to Nardo. He takes his drink and he just pours it out onto the ground and walks out, telling Nardo to come with him.
What the fuck? I'd have drank that. And so Nardo slams the rest of his drink. It is just so bitter. It literally tastes somewhere between tar and cleaning solvent, and and it burns on the way down. And then he sets the table down, the glass on the table, looks at the guy, gives him a nod and a kind of a, you can't pick the people that you hire you kind of a thing, and walks out.
And as you guys are kind of walking out, Andra and Dorn, you guys are both outside. Are you saying anything to each other? I mean, because you're just out there as they're, doing their thing with the bartender. This is going on. Would you guys say anything to each other? Talk about those experiences or what happened to you or anything like that? What would you guys be doing?
What the fuck was that, Dorn? I couldn't stay away from those things. Man, I just want to touch one again. Do you know what they are?
I'm not sure. What did you see anything?
It was just like a warm syrup enveloping me. I was just so happy. It was incredibly euphoric. I want to go back in and touch one again.
You would see like a look of tremendous jealousy on Dorn's face. That's not what he saw or felt. And he would like nod as if that's what he had felt. He would say, yeah.
Do you have any glint? Do you think we could buy one?
No, I don't. And he's like trying to avoid, because he wants it too. He wants more. But he's trying to like be the stronger one if he can manage it.
Imagine when Dorn is like, he's like, no. Like he looks and he sees that standing right behind Andra is Cepheus, and he's just like, are you fucking kidding me?
He's like the dad. And so with that kind of small conversation, Nardo and Cepheus come back out. Nardo, would you share the information that you guys received, or would you just point him in the right direction?
Nardo would share it with Cepheus, but he doesn't really know if Dorn and Andra's head is clear yet. And Andra's just been a mess ever since finding out she's basically, well, not only AIC owns her, but she like literally is part of their necrotech project. So he would just, he would share it all with Cepheus, but they would hear him tell him.
Okay. So you guys hearing that, that the person he was looking for, Simmons, is probably still here. So what would you guys all like to do? You want to head that way? You want to go check something else out? What's the plan?
Cepheus wants to be in and out like super fast. He wants to get the scanner shit fixed, and he wants to get off the planet, and he wants just to get to a place, one, away from all these weird people standing around with their Astra-infused bodies and their glowing eyes and their robo arms and crazy shit of this new decade. And also because right now, the longer he's on this planet with Andra and Dorn, the more danger he thinks he's in. He feels the hairs on the back of his neck rising, and he knows something bad is going to come of it.
Okay.
Nardo would oops, sorry. I was gonna say Nardo would start heading that way. Sorry, I cut you off, Phil.
No problem. Yeah, I was just gonna say Andra's, despite the euphoria she felt by touching these narworms, she definitely wants to regain some sense of control in her life and hopefully get this AIC tech out of her while she can stay alive.
Okay. And Nardo, you said you were going to be just heading that way? Yes, I can't hear you. Lionel, can you hear me?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was reading the chat. My bad.
Yeah, dude. So you said you're just going to head to the west?
Yeah, West End, and maybe he would stop an occasional pedestrian and just like, hey, which way's West End, kind of a thing.
Okay. And you would very slowly kind of make your way. It probably takes about an hour to get to the outskirts. As I said, it's relatively warm inside. You guys don't have to worry about your exosuit helmets or anything. And you come upon pretty nondescript, like the edge of this, another 20 feet and you're in the snow, but the cement or the concrete or the settlement foundation stops there, and then it goes to snow. And this last door. And Lloyd, what symbol do they see on this door? If you could put it up for us.
So
besides silverware?
Yeah. If you can see it here.
Yeah. So yeah, that is the symbol that you guys see on this guy's door. Now, Dorn, you've seen this symbol before. What is it?
It's how he was taught to identify members of the resistance. It's something that like only the high ups in Sept Grimoire would have been aware of, and then they would have filtered down through. The resistance think that it's a secret and that nobody knows about it, and that's mostly true. But the reach of the Sept is near infinite, and so he was taught to look for this symbol. Anyone who was wearing it, anyone who was painting it, things like that, to look for resistance fighters.
And what resistance of what? What were you told as a member of the Sept, out of Sept Grimoire? What was this? What were they resisting? What was this group for?
To fight against the unpleasant circumstances of their lives, to fight against the Sept tyranny, to fight against AIC and their nonsense, just a sort of general anti-establishment.
Okay. And would you share any of this with your companions, or would you just keep that to yourself, knowing that you're about to knock on a door that has that symbol?
I think that he would just tap Nardo on the shoulder and say, and do these 2-finger motions to come and talk.
Okay.
Yeah, Nardo would go.
That symbol, I know it's resistance.
He would lean in close and he would just say, and there's a lot of hidden meaning in what Nardo says here, but I'm sure Dorn will catch it. He goes, "What do you mean? You know it. Is there going to be a problem?"
Probably.
Fuck. Shit just keeps getting worse and worse. Swear to fucking God, Dorn, if you cause any problems, I'm going to be the first one to try to put a bullet in your head.
Try.
Yeah, it is try. Don't fuck this up.
Yeah, he would just nod and keep the mask tight.
Yeah, he would turn around and go over to the door and look at Andra and say, "You okay?"
Yeah, still a little tired, but I think so.
Right. I don't care what I said earlier. You stay by me. Shit goes down. You get out of here as quick as you can.
Right.
And so what would you do, Nardo? Would you just go up to the door and announce yourself?
I would make sure to knock.
So you would just walk up and
Yeah.
Yep. You would just hear, "What?
Hey, looking for Simmons. It's an old friend."
No Simmons here. Go away.
Bullshit. And he would say, Dursta.
You would see a little slot in the door open. And you would see an older set of eyes. Kind of, you could even see like the wrinkles under the eyes. And he would just kind of stare at you, Nardo, and he'd look at everyone else, but he would be focused on you. He said, we played this game once. You want to go for round 2?
No. I'm just looking for you to return a favor.
How the hell did you find me here? I've been doing nothing. I ain't bothered nobody. Why are you coming to bother me now?
We don't want no problem, Simmons. We're in a bad way, and this isn't. Just let us come in. I'll tell you all about it.
And he looks around, and he actually focuses on Dorn. He said, "Why is your friend wearing a mask?"
Generator explosion tore off most of his face.
And he just, you can just kind of see him. You can't really see his face, but you can just see his eyes thinking, you come to take me in again? I'm not going back to that place.
No,
I'm not.
He would just shake his head no as he's saying that, and he'd say, fuck AIC. Fuck them. That's why we're here. We need your help.
Give me a persuasion roll.
Perfect.
Lionel.
And that is a 23.
He goes, okay, now I'll bite. You can come in, but understand, I got this place rigged. You even look at me sideways, you try anything, I'll blow us all to hell. Do you understand?
Crystal clear.
Here's Cepheus like laugh like really bodily at that. he's like ha, and then he just follows him in.
And he closes the thing, and he just you can hear just click, 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 just unlock the doors, and just it opens a crack. That's it. And you can hear kind of on what sounds like metal floor, like somebody stepping on a metal floor, and he's walking the other way to the other side of the room as this door just opens a crack. You'd have to open it.
Yeah. So Nardo would open the door and let Andra and Cepheus through. And as Dorn's going through, he would just say, best behavior, right?
He would just nod.
Yeah, and Nardo would probably be the last one to go in, and then he would close the door behind him.
Okay. He Simmons would be sitting on the far wall. The room it's just a very dark room. There's a bunch of boxes kind of look to be covered with some types of tarps or canvases. You could see that there's some weapons there. You can see there's a bunch of different computers and technology kind of rigged all together, wired. You see a bed in the corner. It's just kind of a makeshift. It almost looks like a mechanical shop, but like a junk shop as well. There's just kind of stuff everywhere. There's really no semblance of order. And he just kind of sits back and leans back against the wall. And he looks at you, Nardo, says, I suppose I do owe you one. What do you need?
You're like one of the best mechanists I know.
I was.
No.
Till somebody made me this fucking moon.
I don't regret what I did that day. Don't regret it at all. And then he would look at Andra and he'd say, and he would just kind of do this with his head to have her step up next to him. Show him.
Andra will kind of step up and pull her shirt down to expose the... You can't see anything. It's in her chest.
No, I mean, you. So yeah, he does that, and Simmons walks over, and he puts he's got gray hair. Like I said, he's wrinkled. He's older. Probably looks a lot older than he really is. And he just kind of puts a pair of like spectacles on, and he looks, and he's kind of holding it. He goes, "Oh, this is some advanced stuff."
Thank you.
So what? What do you need from me? This seems to be working fine. What's the problem?
We need you to get it so that AIC can't track us from it.
Don't you know anything about Auth? AIC can't track you here.
What?
We can't.
AIC cannot track you on this moon. Why do you think they haven't found me?
What if we leave the moon?
Then obviously they can track you.
For such a good mechanist, as Nardo here says, you're not really thinking this through, are you? We came here on a spaceship. We came to this moon. We're being tracked. We're outlaws.
Everybody on this moon's an outlaw.
Let me repeat myself, and this time listen closer. They tracked us here. They're going to follow us here. There's only one settlement on this moon.
And you could see almost like a little light bulb goes off, over his head. He's like, you're going to bring those fuckers to me. Really?
Then fix it so we can leave.
And he looks, and he gets a bigger scanner, very similar to the handheld one that you had, but probably 5 or 6 times as big. He has to hold it with 2 hands. And he scans Andra up and down. He actually scans all of you. And when he scans actually Andra last, but he does Dorn right before. And when he's scanning Dorn, he's looking, and he looks really confused. But that's not his focus. So he goes over to, but you absolutely notice his reaction. He goes over to Andra, and he goes, "It's embedded in there. All right. You got a tracker. That shit's sitting in your heart. It's going to be a bear to take out and not kill you. But I might be able to do it. But I don't think I have the right tools here. See, a while back, some of my tools got, let's just say, lost. You want to get them for me? You want to retrieve them? I'll give it a go. I'll see if I can take this thing out for you, shut it off. But it's going to hurt. I ain't got no way to put you to sleep, to numb it. I'm going to have to cut right through it. You going to be able to handle that?
She kind of scoffs. Of course I'll be able to handle it. As long as you can keep me alive.
I have a method with which I believe I can help.
Okay. Because, well, look, you said you need this done fast. Out to the west here, there's a small valley between two kind of worn, eroded mountains. There's a tunnel there. Yeah, well, last I saw, that's where my tools were. Old Fred, he didn't take a very good liking to me being there. He doesn't want anybody there. And let's just say he took them from me. You get them back, I'll give it a go.
Here, Mechanist?
Yeah.
So the whole shit's booby rigged then?
What?
The entire thing, it's booby trapped. Is what I'm going to be walking into.
On Andra or in the tunnel?
The
What are you
tunnel.
talking about? Nah, man, there ain't nobody. Nobody goes in that tunnel. I was an idiot for even trying. Just thinking I could find something to scavenge. Fred, Fred don't like visitors. You guys show up, he ain't gonna like you either.
You're not telling us something, Simmons. Who the fuck is Fred?
Everybody here knows old Fred. It's one of those gar worms.
Shit.
Except this one got out. This one's let's say fully grown. You ever seen one of those? Yeah. It's not something that you forget very easily. Everybody calls him Old Fred because, well, couldn't really come up with a better name.
Dorn shudders. He realizes that he had this crushing vision by touching for a second a little tiny baby garworm, and he imagines with horror what might happen if he was to connect with a fully grown one, and shudders.
He says, "Look, getting there ain't hard. It's not far. It'll take you 2 hours to walk. You guys got your exosuits. Just get them back from Fred." And he actually turns around and kind of pulls off his jacket. He's got a scar that goes down the entire length of his back. It's an older scar, probably at least 6 months or a year old, but it's like the skin is raised. It's a solid inch wide down his back. So yeah, he almost killed me. It was a stupid thing to do. I shouldn't have gone there at all. But you want me to try to help? All my best tools are in that pack. Go get them from Fred. Deal?
Deal.
Well then.
Nardo doesn't wait for anybody else to chime in.
Andra looks relieved.
What about Sethius or Dorn?
I'll let Dorn go first.
He would say simply, "How do you kill a garworm?"
He kind of smiles. Don't know. Never seen one killed. But when you find out, if you find out, you come back, let me know. That information could be worth a lot to the right people.
Sethius scratches his head, and he just looks at this Simmons guy. He sees Simmons' game. Simmons might not be smart enough to realize what he's doing, but Simmons is basically saying, "Go get yourselves killed so I can live another day." Right? That's how Sethius is seeing it. And he looks at this man. He just stares at him. He stares him straight down his eyes, straight to his soul. He looks through him, and then he slowly rises, and he steps over to Simmons, standing taller than Simmons is, and he says, "If any one of us dies and I live, Simmons, I'm coming back for you, because I know the game you're playing, because I played this game before too. You're not the only old crazy bastard mechanist in this system."
And he just kind of looks at you in a very kind of respectful way, just nods. Just kind of in acknowledgement of what you said.
Ditto.
Said, well, you guys said that you were being tracked, that somebody is probably going to follow you here. Get out of my house. If they're going to follow you, bring them out there to Fred. You don't need to bring them to me. You get my tools, you come back. We'll see what we can do. Till then, get out.
Sethius is going to wait until everyone else leaves, and then he's going to stay a second too long, and then he'll leave.
Okay. And as you do, you hear him, the metal door just kind of clinking closed, and then lock, just click, click, click. And then you hear that eye slot open, and he watches you as you guys walk away. And Lloyd said he was going to be right back in 1 sec. So as he said, it's kind of an easy thing to see. There's only 2 mountains there in direct sight, you know, one of which you actually parked the ship under, Nardo. And you remember that this valley. You remember through your visual scan, seeing a tunnel at the base of one of these. And you guys head that way, again, through the snow, through the ice, through the wind, but your exosuit's keeping you perfectly fine. And you do come upon the entrance of this tunnel, probably 300 yards away from where you are at the bottom of this sort of valley between these two peaks. You don't see anything. You just see a dark tunnel. Snow, ice, wind. And the 4 of you stand there, deciding what to do.
Dorn, take the worm out and kill it.
He would just like pull the mask from his face. And he would see that's like stuck to his face in parts because it's so cold, and put it into the pack. And he would just like look and nod.
What worm?
Andre, shut the fuck up.
You have a narworm? If you have a narworm, you cannot kill the narworm.
He would take this controller out, this container out, and he would pull out the worm, and you would see him like close his eyes, and there would like be this red astro that would like infuse his hand, and it would begin to like drain the worm. Seemingly, it would like shrivel painfully by the look of things, in the hopes of like attracting the big one, until the little shriveled garworm drops from his hand into the snow.
Both of you, Andre, you and Dorn, as you're seeing this, each of you is going to take 2 points of damage. As you drain the life from this innocent little creature, that connection that you guys have felt with this, you feel what it feels. But it only had 2 hit points. It was so small. It was so young. You have more. But what killed him hurts you as well. And as this 5 or 6 inch long worm drops to the ground, this shriveled kind of mess, all you hear is the wind. All you see is the snow. Nothing happens. Nothing comes out.
So over the whisper link, Nardo would say, "You all done fucking around? We're in there for that pack. I'd prefer to get that pack without fighting some I know I'm doing it. Garworm. That old Fred sounds like a freaking mean old son of a bitch. I think it's better if we just go as quietly as we can in there."
Who are you telling? Is what you would hear back. And then you would, anyone who's by Cepheus would see him touch something behind his ear. And then both of the spheroids would unhook from their bandoliers and raise it behind him, silent. And he'd begin walking directly into the tunnel.
Nardo follows him.
Okay, so this tunnel is probably wide enough for 2 people wide. Tightly, maybe 3. But it's a pretty wide tunnel, probably say about 10-foot circumference. Would any of you be pulling out your weapons, readying them?
Yeah.
What would you be doing? Okay.
Yeah, Nardo would pull out his carbine, but also the same thing. I imagine kind of like aliens, like these 2 lights are mounted on the sides of these helmets, and they come once you walk into the darkness, they flick on.
Absolutely, that'd be fine.
I'm unholstering my pistol.
Okay. And you guys all get into that tunnel, and the tunnel kind of turns and winds as it's going down. And it opens up into a probably 300 or 400 yards into the tunnel. It opens up into a cavern. You see kind of stalactites and stalagmites. Looks old, looks ancient. And off in the in the distance, you see kind of this undulating movement. And you hear kind of a crunching and a gnawing, kind of a, kind of an eating noise. And I need everyone to make a dexterity save for me. DC 13.
I will use my inspiration.
Okay.
Yes. That is a 17.
Okay. Okay. So Lionel, Marquise, Dorn, you guys kind of cross through the threshold of this, and you get into the cavern, and nothing happens. But Andra's coming up the rear. And Andra, you don't see it, but your foot kind of feels like it hits something, and it kind of gets stuck. And when it gets stuck, I imagine that you kind of jerk it free. You kind of feel like it's jerking, and you hear this kind of reverberating thumb, and that, and you see this almost invisible thread that is wrapped around the edges of this cavern. And when that thrumming gets louder and louder, you see that creature that was undulating in the distance lift up its head, its huge head. And Lionel, if you would put up the picture for me of what you guys see.
No, I don't want to. Boom.
And that is the creature that you see. Roll for initiative. Okay. Okay, so we're going to go Dorn, Andra, me, Nardo, and then Sethius. So Dorn, you see this giant worm. This worm is probably 30 feet long, probably 8 feet around in circumference, a giant maw with multiple teeth. Its armor looks like it's plated, and it's got probably 20 little legs on each side. It's like a centipede and a worm's worst nightmare. What would you like to do?
I'd like to run away, but I'm not going to. I'm going to. So is there any there's still I guess there's ice and stuff in the cave, right?
No, actually in the cave there's not. You've gone about 300 or 400 yards into the cave. This cavern is just rock.
Okay. Are there rocks around, loose sort of rocks, of possibly medium or smaller size?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Then what I'll do is I'll Dorn will his eyes will roll back in his head, and he'll reach out towards one of the rocks, and towards the worm. So in front of him, he would just begin bringing his fingers together. I'm going to use astral adhesion to fling one of these rocks at it.
Okay.
Where is it? Sorry, Okay. So it needs to make. Between the two objects. Okay, I've messed that up. So it would be 2 rocks on either side that would smash into the worm. It needs to make a dex save, please. DC.
Okay, what's the DC? He rolled a 13, so it hits.
Okay, excellent. So it's going to be. Sorry. It's going to be 5 bludgeoning damage.
Okay, awesome. Is that all you're going to do with your turn?
Yes, sir. Yep, sorry, I said yes. I think you might not have heard it.
Sorry.
I'm done. Sorry, my bad.
Okay, Andra, you just basically set this kind of invisible silk thread and alerted this creature to your presence. So what do you want to do besides kill yourself?
Oh shit. You guys can tell Andra has just been out of it this entire day. You know, she's kind of just like groggy and in a fragile emotional state. And this emotional state quickly turns to fury and rage as she's just like, shit, I'm the one who fucked up again. And she kind of just like shoulders her way past Nardo and just like lets loose this. Or how far away is this creature about?
Oh, probably 60 feet, give or take, maybe 70.
Okay, so I was going to do plasma beam, but that is too close range, so I will go ahead and throw an Astra Bolt at it. And I'm going to buff it up for 2d8 force damage.
Okay. Roll to hit, need to roll 15.
Nat 1.
So what does that critical fail look like? You're so exhausted, and obviously you're not, your Astra manipulation is so jacked up. What does that critical fail looks like as you throw an Astra Bolt as this giant worm?
So, oh man, I imagine instead of actually, like, as I'm shouldering past Nardo, I like preemptively shoot the Astra Bolt, and it probably hits the top of this tunnel, showering some rocks on me.
Give me a dexterity save. Or a dexterity roll.
13.
Okay. You barely, as these rocks that fall from the ceiling, they barely miss you by inches. But you do not take any damage. But Lloyd, this creature sees you. It's almost like because you use that Astra, it focused on you, and it's going to spit just kind of this wad of towards you, and it actually misses. And you see when this kind of glob, think about it like the size of a basketball, this glob of this kind of green Icarus, grossness hits the rock next to it. And you can actually hear like a tss as it sizzles. And this is and it gets about 30 feet closer to you with its movement. You could see its little legs just moving it faster than you think something that size should move. Next is Nardo.
So Nardo was just about to tell Andra, look out, because the rest of them stepped over, but it's too late. What Nardo would be doing is he's looking for this pack. So he's going to go forward. I guess he's going to take the dodge action as he tries to get past this worm, and he's looking for this pack.
Okay, so the worm's probably 70 feet away. So you're just trying to get past it to the other side?
I was looking for the pack. So yeah, I'll go as far as I can in my 30 feet and just take the dodge action for right now. But yeah, I'm just actively looking for this pack.
I would say give me a perception roll, please.
Will do. Perception. So that is a 17.
I'd say at the kind of where the creature started, you see kind of a pile of bones. Several human, several other animals. And there's several kind of, you would call them packs or backpacks or, things, just piles of stuff around it. You would see the only pack per se, that would kind of stand out as relatively new and not covered in dust and grossness would be on the back of a corpse that's half gnawed through.
Perfect. So over the whisper link, Nardo would just say, keep this thing busy. I'm going for the pack. And that'll end his turn.
Okay. Sethius.
So Seth is seeing that Naruto is trying to charge this thing down and get around it. He's going to do his best to distract it. So he just quickly he levels his pistol. Is going to start firing rounds out at the worm. I use inspiration because otherwise it would have been a bad time for me. So I got a 11 plus 6, so a 17 to hit. All right, and for damage, that is going to be 7 points of damage.
Awesome. A pen here. Okay. So, and what did you hit it with, Marquise?
My pistol.
Okay, no problem. And where did you hit it? Just in the side? Did it pierce through, or?
As he's shooting at it, because he doesn't really understand the anatomy of this creature yet. He has to see it up close first. So he fires around, and you see like this small, like tentacle, mandible-like thing. A piece of it just go flying off, and this blue-black blood spraying against the wall.
Awesome. All right, we're back up to the start. Dorn.
Okay, so Dorn sees the thing move. He's gonna his eyes are gonna roll back into his head. They're gonna begin glowing. He's gonna activate Limit Enhancer, which is like his panic button. And so I think you would see him almost like lift maybe an inch or two off the ground as he like begins to swirl with Astra, and he is going to use Astral Adhesion again. This time, he's going to use some boosts. An even larger rock or a chunk of the ceiling is going to smash towards the worm, and it's going to go towards the ground. So the worm has to make a DC 14 dex.
He rolled another 11. He failed.
Okay, so it'll take 4 from that one, and it'll take 5 from the previous. And if it wants to move, it has to make 2 athletics checks, 1 for each rock that's attached to it. So if you imagine like he's just like floating in the air, and all these like chunks of the ceiling are just like attaching to the worm. They're trying to push it into the ground, trying to trap it.
Okay, this thing is strong, incredibly strong. So yes, it's second. Just okay. Yeah, both he rolled an 18 and a 19. So when he chooses to move, he'll be able to do it. Okay, next we got Andra.
Okay, so seeing her Astra buddy Dorn just wreaking havoc on this creature with his astral adhesion, she's going to kind of get on a knee, and her hands are glowing red, and she's going to go ahead and fire off plasma beam since the creature moved closer now. And it's a DC 14 dex check.
Just 14.
Okay, so
just 14.
He will take half damage.
Okay.
So he'll take 8 damage.
Awesome.
Of just fire.
Right. Awesome. Now, would it like engulf his whole thing, or just a piece of him, or just his head, or what part of it?
It's just a line, so it would be probably aimed towards his head, but if he rears it up, it probably hits like right under him on his chest.
Gotcha. Okay. And with that burn, you're going to see him kind of rise up, and you're going to hear this kind of roar, kind of roar that kind of reverberates through. And Andre, he is going to spit again at you. What is your AC again?
My AC is 13, but I have Twitch Shield.
Okay.
So my AC increases by 4 after an attack.
Okay. Well, this one, unfortunately, he rolled a 19. So you're going to get hit with this. Huh.
I can use a boost to increase it by 6.
Can you do that as a reaction to being hit?
The Twitch Shield is a reaction.
I know, but can you boost it?
Oh,
as a reaction? Because you told me you activated it. You didn't say that you boosted it.
It activates after you hit, since it's a reaction. Okay. So that means then should know, right?
Okay. We can play it like that. So this thing, I mean, it literally was about to hit you directly in the face. This giant ball of this acidic mucus stopped an inch from your face with this shield, with this green Astra shield, and it just hits that Astra shield and just slowly slides down but like the remnants of the mucus like sits on there as it goes down. But it was right there, dude. Right there.
And that's enough to get me to kind of like scramble backwards
All right.
as far as I can.
Okay. Next, we're going to go to Nardo.
Yeah, Nardo is still making his way to that the backpack he sees. About how far away is it? You said about 60 feet from him?
Probably about 30 feet from you now. It's actually moved a little bit towards Dorn. So it's probably 30 feet away from that pile.
Okay. So he's making his way to the pile. So he's probably about 60 feet away from the pile then.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Cool.
Sure.
So he's going to dodge again this round and run another 30 feet closer. So he should get there next round.
You mean dash?
No, I don't want to dash because I want to use my action to dodge. So that gives it disadvantage to attack me. He's trying to just like avoid getting hit.
Well, then you can go 30 feet or 35 feet. That's your standard movement. You can't go 60 feet with a dodge.
Nope. No, that's what I'm saying. So it's going to take me 2 turns to get there.
Okay, gotcha. Cool. All right, no problem. Sethius.
So is Nardo now in melee range of the giant worm?
No.
Okay, never mind then. So if that's the case, I'm just going to basically keep on taking more shots at this thing. So on this time, I got a 14 plus 6, so it's going to be an unnatural 20. And I'm shooting it this time. Ooh, max damage. So for basically only 9 points of damage, as I keep basically trying to shoot off mandibles and eyes and pieces of exoskeleton and all that stuff.
And guys, if you want to pre-roll your turn and know what you're going to do, that's more than fine to move the combat along. And how much damage was that, Marquise?
That was 9 damage.
Okay. So you've as you've kind of pierced this with your pistol several times, and the rocks have hit it, several places on this thing's armor you can see cracked, and that kind of green, kind of Icarus, green black color blood has come up, and as it hits the ground, you just hear tss, 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 as this highly corrosive blood and mucus of this creature is hitting the ground. But we're going to go back up to Dorn.
So still kind of floating about 2 inches off the ground, swirling with this power. He's going to do the same thing again. He's going to like reach up and pull a chunk from the ceiling and try and pin it in place again. So it needs to make, now at this stage, another DC 14 dex.
Okay. He rolled a 7, so he failed.
Okay. So it'll take 3 from that, and then it needs to make 2 more dex saves.
Okay. Failed. And failed.
Okay. So then 7 and 7 from all those. And again, if it wants to move, it needs to make now 3 athletics. But I'm sure it'll do that. I'm going to fly or move backwards away from this thing.
How is your Astrofade?
Just right, roll it. I've gone 2 over now.
Okay. Roll for me.
Free boost with Limit Enhancer, which is why it's so low at the moment, but still 2 over. So I think with 2 over, we're looking at a D8 or a D6.
I think it's D6.
It's D6, okay.
2 over.
6.
Okay.
So I take 1d8 force damage. That makes so much sense. So I'll take 7 damage. So I'm like floating, and you can see that it's like swirling all around this like yellow Astra. And as he is like pulling rocks from the ceiling, some of this like sort of reverse gravity, some fragments of rocks and stuff begin flying towards him as if he's a magnet and like smashing into him.
Awesome. Andra, you gonna do something useful or?
Yeah, I'm gonna try. I'm going to just launch another plasma beam right at him. So DC 14 dex.
Okay. Rolled a 6. Failed.
Nice. So
I gotta change my die here.
This is going to, as she brings her hands together this time, her blast actually hits him right in the face, dealing 21 damage. As flames just kind of engulf his face as he's screaming.
And this thing, I mean, you can see it has multiple eyes on the side of its head. You can see that all of the eyes have been just kind of burned away the little tentacles on his mouth and everything are all singed off, and several have fallen to the ground. Its mouth is seared. You can see cracks forming on the front part of his head where it's all blackened, but you can see that kind of armory plating has been, some of it's like peeling up and blistering. And this creature's head just kind of falls to the ground, but it's still moving, but it's hurt. It's hurt bad. It is going to go for you, Andre, one more time, as you're the one that just did that, as it kind of pulls its head up and turns to you. And spits again. And that one actually hits it as well. But you had Twitch Shield up, right?
I'm not going to activate Twitch Shield after this hit.
Okay. Okay, that one was actually an 18, so you're going to get hit with this one. And that is going to be 7 damage. But I imagine it doesn't get you head on. You just kind of get your leg, and you can just hear the sizzle as the exosuit starts to kind of get kind of the acid eats away, and you got some blistering and stuff on your leg, but it's not too bad. Marquise.
You mean Nardo?
Nardo.
I'm sorry. Nardo, that's what I meant.
That's okay. Nardo really isn't doing much in the way of combat in this encounter, but he should be able to close the last bit of distance with his 30 feet of movement. And when he gets there, I pre-rolled my investigation, 18, okay. And so he's just looking at this pack. Does it seem to fit? He kind of flips it open, looks inside real quick. Does it seem to be mechanist tools?
You see. In there, you see what would be considered a pack. You see 3 of them. Said one is two look old and dusty. One of them looks relatively new. As I said, it's kind of attached to a half-eaten corpse. But as far as flipping them open, all of them have some metallic mechanical objects.
Okay. I dread to ask this question, but can I make out who this dead dude is that this pack's attached to?
He looks like one of the patrons from the bar. His clothes are dirty. He looks like he's a citizen of this settlement. Nothing really is. Fuck
it. Nardo doesn't know. He's gathering up all these packs. He's not a mechanist. That's not his shit. So he's just gonna grab them all. That's what he's gonna spend his turn doing.
Okay, you can absolutely do that. I imagine that when you try to pull it off the corpse, the arms, it's been there for a while. The arms just kind of rip off and grab it.
Yeah.
And so you're figuring about 100 pounds. You got about 100 pounds of packs on you right now, but you can do that with your action. Yeah. Okay. And then we have Marquise. This thing is burned just beyond recognition. It's kind of barely alive, holes in them, burning, acidic blood and mucus, and it's just sitting there charred.
Is it too feral to do what I sent to you in the private chat, or no?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see it. I didn't get a private chat, dude. Oh, given the extent of the damage, I don't think so. I think that I don't think it's gonna happen, man.
All right, that's fine. So then I have a 17 plus 6 to hit, and so that's obviously going to hit. I'm going to
describe how it dies and how you kill it.
Seeing this thing kind of feral, freaking out, shaking its head, bleeding everywhere. The doctor doesn't want to kill it. Even though animals have pretty much ruined his life in the last decade, he went into working on animals for a reason. And it's always very difficult for him to see them in this tortured kind of state. When they were like this on the planet, he usually just put them out of their misery. And that's exactly what he does now. He looks to one of his drones and he says, Titus. And he moves a finger to it. And that drone just floats over to the head of the gar worm. And you just see like a red Astra beam come straight from the bottom of it and just pierce its head like a spike and kill it. Quick, clean, efficient.
Awesome. You guys are out of combat. Nardo, you have the packs. What would you like to do?
So as this worm kind of just hits the cavern floor, Nardo's kind of turning around and he's like, oh shit. So he would say
really quickly, all of the rocks that we're trying to connect, when the worm dies, we'll just it's no longer resisting. There'll just be this awful squish and like crunch of rock.
Dorn, give me a deck save.
Oh boy. Actually not bad. 18.
As you kind of hear the guts and insides of this creature just spray out everywhere, and it misses you, but barely.
Yeah, I could see like a chunk of it go over my shoulder, and count my lucky stars.
So you guys have the packs. What would you like to do?
Did we all see that the packs were attached to a corpse?
The only person who saw that was Nardo.
All right.
Because he went all the way over there.
I'm going to whistle, and my steroids return to the bandoliers inside of my suit, and I holster my gun. And I looked at Nardo, and I said, "You get him?"
Yeah, so across the Whisper Link, he would say, yeah, there are 3 of them. I grabbed them all.
3. Ain't no way that scrawny son of a bitch carried 3 packs down here. You just taking in people's shit now? Is that what we're doing?
I don't know. You look at this shit. I don't know what fucking mechanist shit looks like. And he tosses the packs down in front of Cepheus.
He picks one up. He's gonna carry them all outside, Drake, so I can look at them under sunlight.
Okay, absolutely. And what you find in this pack, you find everything in these packs, Marquise, are things that are way more advanced than you could have imagined. Okay, you know that there is an advanced kind of arc tool that has just kind of different settings, different things that you're not familiar with, that you may be able to manipulate a lot more with it. There's advanced scanners. There is a hatchet that has a baromech attachment to it. If you guys are familiar with what that is. Mm-hmm. There's a pistol that looks to be have red Astra energy cells. Okay, and there is also what looks like a collapsible sword or something like that, where you actually hit the button and the sword actually extends. It doesn't. Other than that, it kind of emanates a little bit of Astra. The Mancers would feel it, but you don't really know what's going on with it. And then beyond that, like I said, just kind of standard tools and stuff like that. But the scanners are far more advanced than you're comfortable with even fathoming what they do.
Cepheus is rubbing the temples of his head as he looks at this crazy ass shit that's advanced so much in the last decade and some change since he's last saw it. And like he picks up the pistol, he looks down the sight, he looks at the collapsible sword, he slides that over to where Nardo is. He looks at the hatchet, and then he looks at the scan and he says, "My God. Yo, Andra, come here real quick."
Philip.
Sorry, I heard "oh my God" and then that's it.
Oh.
He said, "Andra, come here real quick."
Oh, sorry. All right.
Show me the thing on your. Show me the shit.
She pulls her shirt down.
And he's gonna take this new like hyper advanced arc tool. Is going to link it to the scanner. And is going to turn it towards the chest of Andra.
And as you do, and you turn on, you see on the screen, this small kind of 4-inch screen, you just see a little circle with a line through it that's red, and the picture of a battery, and it says low power.
All right. He puts all the stuff back into the bags. He gives them to Nardo to carry because Nardo's a big strapping young man, and Nardo didn't do shit, so he gets to carry everything. And he says, "All right, I'm keeping the pistol. Nardo, you keep the sword. Who wants the hatchet?" I don't know what this thing attached to it is. And he points at the baromech attachment because, again, he hasn't seen the new Spectre technology, right? He says, "I don't know what this is, but looks useful." So,
Nardo, you would know what it is.
It's the same shit they use with Andra. It's necrotech.
Okay.
It channels life force from whoever you hit with it into the wielder.
He looks at you
I'm not
wide-eyed.
fucking necrotech.
he hears Andra's outburst, and he looks to Andra. And then he looks back to Naruto and says, Necrotech, as in the shit that I was working on.
He just nods his head.
And this takes a bit of you and siphons it back into here.
Yes.
And into the wielder.
It uses Astra to do it. Some dark shit.
Fucking hell. What other... Listen, as we walking back, you're telling me every single thing they use my technology to create. Because this is 30, 40, 50 years beyond what we were working on alone, right? The Reddies back on the planet with what they had, that shit is not even a prototype compared to this. That's a fucking rock compared to the carbine you've been using. And he's going to put the hatchet back into the bag, and he's just going to listen. So as I guess you guys tell him about Spectres and the barrel mechs and all kinds of other crazy shit, and he's just like, what the fuck are you talking about? This is not possible. As we walk back to
and I think,
go ahead.
Yeah. As you guys are walking back, I imagine that Naruto would fill you in on the weapons technology to kind of catch up to speed. Andra would fill you in on more of the Spectre technology. Dorn may give you a little bit of history on the Seps and the wars that they've been waging for territory and stuff like that. So each of these guys over the course of the next hour or two give you, just give you a little snippet to get back to the time now. So all that, you're kind of up to speed at this point as you guys get back to Simmons' door. Naruto, would you knock?
Yeah, Naruto would knock because he doesn't know what I guess maybe others are suspecting. So yeah, he just knocks on the door. He's got these packs slung over his shoulders.
Okay.
Right before Naruto knocks, Andra's going to kind of grab Adorn's wrist and say, "Hey, don't let him fuck me up, all right? If it looks like it's going south, just do what you did with that worm back there."
He rubs his head and he nods and he says, "I got you, bro. I got you."
Thanks.
So you knock. Yeah. And he slams the door open and he goes, huh. How's old?
You broke up. I didn't miss that part. The last part there.
Said, well, that was fast. How's old Fred doing?
Easy peasy. Old Fred ain't getting any older.
Impressive. The last two I sent didn't make it out. Guess better than y'all look, huh? All right, get in here. Let's see what we can do about this tracking device. And he opens the door, and he actually swings the door all the way open this time. He doesn't just crack it. And he kind of stands there with the door open, kind of beckoning you all inside. As you get through, he looks at whoever's holding the packs. He's like, well, let me see what we got.
Yeah, Naruto would set the packs down, like maybe on a table or something, step back and just kind of do another, here you go. Do your thing.
And he would just slowly go through it, and the little like the mechanist tools and the scanner and stuff. Obviously, the stuff that you guys took wouldn't be in there, and he would kind of look like he was looking for something that he didn't find, he would then look at the scanner, and with the that more advanced arc tool kind of attached, and he would. Marquise, you would notice that it's still flashing low power, and he would connect a wire to the bottom of it, and you would see it kind of power up and hear kind of, and you would see it light up, and the screen would turn blue, and the kind of prongs there would just begin to glow with this kind of blue kind of astra. And he would look to you, Andra, and he would point over to the bed, be like, probably lay down. It's gonna hurt.
Right. She'll go onto the bed and kind of grip the sides.
And she's laying down, and he begins to actually restrain your ankles and your wrists with these kind of leather straps. Would anyone?
Is this necessary?
Yeah. Naruto kind of chimes in too and says, Simmons, you really gonna do that?
You want her to move? You want to hold her down? I'm about to cut into her fucking chest. You think she's not going to move?
Have Dorn hold me down.
What about some anesthetic?
I just told you we can't. I have no anesthetic.
Constantine.
I told you before I sent you.
A spheroid detaches. It is filled with green astra. You can tell from the blinking lights it has. And it's going to go over to where Andra is. It's going to attach to one of her shoulders. It's going to say to her, "This will help the pain." All right.
You cut out. What was that?
Oh, sorry. Basically, I'm attaching a green powered fucking spheroid to her, right? And so it's a healing spheroid. I'm telling Andra, this will help the pain. All right. And be strapped down because I know I'm going to be able to hold you down when it starts cutting into your chest.
Okay. Thanks.
Donica would stand at the Doran would stand at the back of the table with his hands on either side of Andra's head, and he would try and get her to do the thing that they had begun to do, which is to breathe properly and to meditate and to take her mind away from where she is. And he would use his green astra to try and do that as well.
And as this is all happening, you guys are all prepped. Andra's ready, and you hear a small kind of metal click coming out of this arc tool, and you see a small blade. And what you hear is like the sound of a dentist's drill, like that really high-pitched. I'm sorry, I don't have the audio for it, but that kind of high-pitched, and then as he gets into the skin first, it sounds one way, and then he almost cuts into that triangle thing. So that's metal on metal kind of grinding. And Andre, you feel this intense heat and pain as he cuts into your sternum, into your chest, and opens up this thing. You take 15 damage as he's doing that. You also take an extra level of exhaustion as the power to this device that is keeping your heart beating, keeping your lungs working, is shut off momentarily. And he goes in there, and just as you feel your consciousness fading, you feel your eyes closing, it's the black. You see Simmons put his hand into her sternum and reach almost to his wrist, which would be almost the equivalent of getting to her spine. And you hear him just, I got it. You hear a click, and he pulls it out, and he pulls this tracker out in green as he does. And he looks up at you, Marquise, and he's like, "Loud. She needs healing. She's okay. I got the device out. Heal her. She is going to bleed out."
Get out of the fucking way and stop talking to me then. And I'm going to shove him out of the way. I'm going to say, Titus, shoot too. Titus lands, right? And I'm pumping the full 25 hit points into her. And it's going to look like this green liquid pumping out of them directly into the skin, into the veins. It's going to start replacing her blood and start basically filling the gap in her chest and start slowly but surely rebuilding the tissue.
Absolutely. And it just kind of, you can see it. The gap is so big, you can actually see like strands of skin kind of mending itself slowly with this kind of green astra glow. And after a few minutes, kind of, you still see a slight glow in the wound, but you see Andra just, eyes wide open and just taking that first deep breath after not being able to. Andra, your head is pounding, your chest is killing you, but you're alive.
Her eyes slam open, and as she's gasping for air, and the first thing she sees is both Dorn above her with his hands on her, around her head, and from the side, Adorn with his spheroids, and she can feel the cool tingling sensation of the green astra that's been injected into her, and feel her skin and muscles and sinews start to slowly reconstruct themselves. She's still in a lot of pain.
Dorn, Nardo, what are you guys? Let's start with Dorn. What are you feeling? What are you thinking, Dorn?
I think he's surprised that she managed to get through that. His opinion of Andra has always been that she was like spoiled, or that her talents came easy, and that like she had it a lot easier than he had it. But like seeing her get through this, and like the focus that she had to like remain coherent and like not screaming and bubbling the whole way through, I think he would be impressed.
Okay. What about you, Nardo?
Well, for Nardo, it'd be different. He's been hard on Andra right from the get-go, never letting off. I think he has a newfound respect for her because he's seen battle-hardened men not be able to sustain something half as traumatic as that. So he's just been kind of sitting there watching this thing, and once it's like over and they're channeling this astra into her to heal these wounds, he stands up, and he's standing up over maybe over Dorn's shoulder, and he looks down at her and he smiles and goes, "Well, you're a tougher bitch than I thought."
And with that, I imagine that you stand up. Or no, you sit up, excuse me. Your chest still hurting. But kind of sat up. He got, Marquise pushed him over, and he dropped the scanner and the arc tool and everything. There, arms on his knees, just smiling, going, I didn't think that was going to work. And just as he gets that part, that you hear, on that metal door, just very, Michael Simmons, you are harboring known AIC fugitives. Come out with your hands up immediately. Now the door is locked. It's a heavy metal door. For hearing this, Simmons goes, shit. After all this time, they find me now? After all this time? Look. And he looks at you, Nardo. He goes, you let me go once. I got to return that. And he quickly kind of jumps up, and he one of the boxes on the floor, and you actually see this kind of cut out sort of trap door, kind of a secret door underneath, and he lifts it up. He says, go. The tunnel will get you to the outskirts. Right. And he's like, just go. And you look down in there, it just looks like a stone tunnel just carved out. There's no lights, there's no nothing. pointing to Andra. He's like, you guys need to go now. This door is not gonna hold them for long. Get out of here.
I'll nod. And is there like a piece of heavy furniture in this? Like a huge table or a sofa or something?
There's crates. There's a bunch of crates everywhere.
Yeah. So Doran would like look to the rest and say, go. And he would begin to like, again, yellow Astra like fling out, and he would just like grab things and shove them at the door, and they would all like press against the door as if trying to like get through the other side to try and like give him a little bit more time and give themselves a little bit more time as well.
How many times do you want to cast that, Lloyd?
I am going to go with 4 times, which is going to put me at 6 over my limit.
Okay, roll for
it. 3. The Astra shocks your system, reduce your current Astra fate by 2, but you're stunned. Oh, that's perfect. So he's just like flinging all this stuff at the door, trying to keep it in place, and you can hear like, and then he's like holding them all there in place, and then they're all like, come on, we gotta go, and he's just like unable to move. You can see that there's like tears coming from like his eyes and like sweat dripping all over him, but he's unable to move. He's like held in place by his magic.
Okay. So Andra, did you jump in? Did you go?
Yeah, Andra's probably going to, quickly scoot off the bed and make her way down there, grabbing clothes as she heads down.
Okay, Marquise, you're going to go next. What are you grabbing?
He's taking the bag of super fancy shit. So the scanner / arc tool, I guess, is the only thing that was still in there actually. So
yeah, the scanner and the arc tool would be all that you could really grab.
He takes those,
everything else,
and then he looks to Simmons, and he says to him again, one old bastard runaway mechanist to another. What kind of bomb you got to blow this shit up?
He looks at he looks at you with this kind of curt smile, and he's like, "Yeah, maybe. What a way to go, right? Now get the hell out of here."
I imagine they both like a thumbs up to one each other because they've both done the same trick, and then down through the hole goes Cepheus.
Now, Lionel, Dorn is stunned. You would need to pull him down this hole with you.
Well, Nardo doesn't actually pull him. What he does is he grabs him. And how far down is it?
Probably 10 feet. I mean, the tunnel keeps going down.
He literally like lowers him down, and like those last few feet, he just lets him go. So he drops down, and then he turns and faces Simmons.
And then Simmons looks at you very you remember the look you so many years ago. This is exactly how it was before, except the other way around. He looks at you and he says, "Get out of here. They're going to get through this door, but don't worry." And he on the crate that he's sitting on, he lifts up kind of the blanket that's over it, and you see it all over the crate. It says explosive TNT. Don't worry about me. Get down there. And remember, we're even now.
You're a good man.
No, but you let me raise my daughter. That's a hell of a lot more important.
Yeah, Nardo wouldn't say anything.
They're coming.
That. Yeah, and he would just start going down. But maybe when he's like halfway down this ladder, he would pause just for a second longer just to look at him, and then disappear down and help pick Doran up and start carrying him down the tunnel.
And you guys would keep going down this tunnel, but this tunnel is rock, and you would hear the door slam, that trap door. You would hear him moving the crate, and you would hear just kind of muffled voices. Finally, just echoing through this, you guys would hear this. And as you hear everything above you collapsing, the building that you're in collapsing, you see the dust kind of coming from off the ceiling, knowing to save you. And that is where we end the session.
That was rad. Good to be back.
Yo, the audio jive is 10 out of 10.
It's real. It's really
Thanks,
good.
man.
Sweet.
Yeah. Wow.
It's super good to be back in this
Reactions.
game.
I'm sorry, Lloyd, what was that? Or what? I didn't
It's
hear.
super good to be back in this game. Like it's been a long time, but like I haven't played Harbinger since we last played this game, and I was like, oh right, this is a fucking rad setting.
Yeah.
Super cool to be back.
Yeah.
You guys,
This is really fun.
you guys are amazing. Like, I mean, literally, like I have like a paragraph worth of notes, and we made that story together. I mean, yeah, but God, it's fucking awesome. I love playing with you guys.
Dope.
I really wanted to explore a little bit more about Dorn, because we've gone through Andra. She's set. We still got to focus a little bit on Nardo, but and of course now Sethius. But the idea of the siphon, Lloyd and I have talked about it a lot. We're kind of homebrewing it and coming up with our own ideas.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, that was the vocal talents of my 9-year-old kid.
That was great.
A little girl, and I was trying to do it, and she was sitting here playing like Overwatch or something in my room, and she's like, "Well, I'll do it, Daddy." I'm like, "Are you sure? Like, you don't?" She's like, "Yeah, I can be famous." It's like, "All right." And you know, it's not professional, but I think she did amazing. I think it was
Really
amazing.
good. Really, really good. Like very like sold it for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed it all. I had a hell of a time playing this game as always. Congratulations, Andra. You're no longer tracked, but we killed more people and a giant worm. And Lionel, thank you for keeping those pictures for me, and Lloyd for coming up with symbols of the resistance.
Dude, yeah.
So yeah.
It's all on the
Everyone.
way.
That was so fun.
So, and before we end, I mean, if you guys want to do any outros or anything, you're welcome to. I mean, everybody knows who everyone here is, but outro, you're fine. And if there's anything else that you guys want to say, by all means, go ahead.
My name is Marquise, and I approve this message.
Well, that's important.
Yeah, that's the important thing.
And Marquise is running a game in 6 hours that I have to be in, so it's going to be a big Sunday.
I have to prep that and make pre-gens, apparently.
6.5 hours. That's a lot of prep time, dude.
Yeah.
Good luck. Philip, anything to add or feelings or anything?
Nope, I'm Philip. Love playing in the games. Thanks everyone, all the players. Drake, it was amazing. Love this.
Lionel.
I gotta kind of say what Lloyd said is I forgot how freaking awesome Harbinger is. But it was like when you have that comfortable pair of shoes or pants or something. Once we started this session, I was like, oh yeah, this feels really good. And I just loved it. And Drake, I know you downplay it, but man, you're like the king of sound bits, man. You play those things through your sessions, and the immersion is awesome. And the story was just awesome. I loved it. I loved every minute of this session.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. That means a lot coming from you guys. Like I said, the biggest thing is I can't just the audios and working on those when I can't think my descriptions do it justice. You know, and if I can't describe it properly where I think it would mean something, then I'll try to do an audio piece. This is actually more than I usually do. I did 3 this time. But make sure you guys, make fun of Leonardo for his, because I don't think he watched any more of the game, but he watched that part. So anyway, guys, Lloyd, are you back? You got anything finally to add, or you good?
Just like super pleased to be back. Like I said, a great setting, great game, and like lots of mystery and intrigue. It's really good to investigate it. Super cool to be back. Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you guys again. I am Drake with the RPG Construct. As you're watching, this is your Playtest Infinity Series campaign. These guys did an amazing job, and we look forward to session 6. I have no idea what it's going to be, but look for the date and post, and I'll come up with something. Anyway, guys, you all take care.